Where it's just in the middle of a sentence.
People from Belgium on already.
Excellent. Welcome, everybody, to another shop talk. Today, probably a lot of you will recognize this guy.
Maybe they won't.
But maybe they won't.
Maybe they won't.
But if you do, or if you don't, this is Alex from Curiosity Inc. I forgot to put his stuff in the description, but it will be there at some point. Curiosity Inc. is a store, a channel, a man. Actually, it's not a store anymore.
Less of a store now.
Right. But
I'm more of a vibe, I think, now. I'm more of like an energy of doing stuff than I am a store. But
it's like some people are named, like some people you would say their name, like their whole name, like Vince Neil. Does anyone call him Vince who doesn't know him? Probably not. Everyone calls him Vince
or
Neil.
Vincey Boy. Or V-Dog.
And then there's some people who are like Madonna or Cher. They only have one name.
And that's not even their real name.
No, it's not. And then there's people like you where people will be like, oh, Curiosity Inc. Or Alex.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what else.
That's true. People just point at me and say my business name.
Yeah. So, but anyway, if you guys are new to my channel or don't know what this is, so besides the vlogs and build and paint videos, I every once in a while like to have a shop talk, which is basically an interview with another creative or someone who has been on my channel who other people want to know more about. In this case, I do YouTube more seriously because of this guy. So it's kind of a...
Well, you were doing it before.
Yeah, a little bit. But you're like, you should be making vlogs. And I was like, that's so dumb. I'm not making vlogs. And you're like, no, you should. Because I was making a build video of that kitchen from the Potter's house. Mm-hmm. And then you were like, you should film everything though. And I was like, lame. And then I listened to you and then I did it. And I think I've been getting better over time.
Yeah. You know, you're definitely putting a lot of art and care into your videos.
Well, thank you. So as always, I don't know, a perk of Patreon, I get the patrons to ask questions for the guests, and it's the same for this video. I have 27 comments here from Patreon. Most of them are probably questions, and I'm going to ask these. If you guys have questions here in the live, ask them after. But before we start, how is the sound with these mics? Can you guys hear us good?
Hopefully okay. You know, I was drinking the water and then I heard a meowing sound and I thought it was coming out of the water bottle, but it was your cat.
Yeah, that's funny. Cher and Madonna are their real names. Probably they got them legally changed, but they weren't.
Oh, maybe Madonna.
Madonna? No one names their kid Madonna. Maybe now they would. Cher?
Okay, now I gotta look it up.
Yeah, look it up.
Cher's real name. This is be one of those things that bug me. Oh, it's Sherilyn.
Okay, it's just short then.
Sherilyn Sarkisian. Yeah. So I guess Cher is her real name, kind of, because it's Sherilyn.
Just like your name is Alexander, not Alex.
We picked the two celebrities that actually have like monikers that
Who else
are their real names.
Prince.
Prince? Yeah.
That's not his real name. What is his real name?
It could be his real name.
No, it ain't. Maybe.
Okay,
Who
now
else is there? There's got to be other one name or Sting.
Prince's actual name is Prince Rogers Nelson.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, Sting. His real name isn't Sting.
Yeah. Slash. That's good.
Yeah, that'd be pretty bad if you named your kid Slash.
Yeah, that doesn't. Depending on what. Yeah. Yeah, this cat. You're allergic to cats, right?
I am. I like. It's one of those things where I like cats. Now I feel bad because the cat's super friendly.
Yeah.
And it's being given the boot out the door right now. Meatloaf. No, I'm pretty sure Meatloaf was his birth name.
Me?
Based on the thing that, maybe it was the thing that they saw first when they were giving birth and they were serving meatloaf in the hospital. I'm going to name this kid based on the first thing I see. And then they're like, here's your meatloaf. And they're like, well, I guess that's what it is.
And you know how people say they hate hospital food?
Yeah. Except hospital Jell-O. There's nothing wrong with
I
hospital
love
Jell-O.
hospital Jell-O. When I had carbon monoxide poisoning, I had tons of it.
You sure that you were in the right frame of mind? Maybe everything just tastes better when you're...
No, I love Jell-O, and I like hospital Jell-O. I also like Chinese restaurant Jell-O. It's probably just
the same thing.
Jell-O, but it's so. But they cut it in like...
Oh, those cubes?
Yeah.
Or no, are you talking about the wavy?
Yeah. In cubes still, but it has like the...
No, I prefer when it's exact little squares. That's my favorite.
Okay. Can you eat it with chopsticks, though? I think they put those crinkles so it's easier to grip.
With chopsticks? I don't know. I've never tried eating Jell-O. I could stab it, probably, and do it that way.
I don't really like Chinese food, so...
What? How could you not like Chinese food?
I don't know. I just don't. So, but I like Jell-O, so I always get it when I go to Chinese restaurants.
So you go to Chinese restaurants and then just order Jell-O? Because you could probably go somewhere different.
Well, it's because if other people are going, what am I going to be like? Oh, I don't like it, so none of us are going.
If I go to... Remember when we used to go to Provost and they had the Chinese / North American buffet?
Yeah.
The Chinese food was always good. And you didn't get any Chinese food. But then they'd have like random North American food. It would be like, all these different dishes from Asia and like hamburger patties or hot dogs or something. And they're never quite that good. The North American food at an Asian buffet is never... But then you wonder, well, I like the food at the buffet, so I don't know. So I guess we're going for Jell-O at some point. Is the moral of that story?
Yeah, we should do it after this. I have to go get some stuff from town anyway.
Yeah, grease because I failed you. You could. He's fixing his tractor right now.
My lawnmower, yeah.
Yeah, he's out there doing stuff.
That'll be the next vlog, by the way. It's been a freaking minute since I released a vlog, but it's been because delays.
You could grease your hubs with Jell-O.
I don't know if that would work. Okay,
work for a while.
First question from the Patreon comes from Matthew Fox, and this is a joke. This is something that I know that he always asks you on your channel, but he always asks me this as well. But he asks, have you started my shed yet?
Wait, does he ask you if you're building a shed for him too?
Yeah, it's like he's like, I can stay in the loft of the chicken coop. And then when I told everyone I was going to build the greenhouse, he's like, make it so that there's a back part for me. And then I'm going to put a cabin by my pond. And he's like, oh, we could have a whatever.
Maybe that's the secret that Matthew has in life, is that everybody he knows, he asks them to build them a little house so he always has somewhere to stay.
Yeah, I wonder if he even owns the house he lives in now. Probably he's just like...
It was somebody that he was like friends with.
shed over there.
Hey, where's my shed? And they're like, haha. And then he just asked enough times it got awkward, and then he just let him live there. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Well, one of my last videos I put up was putting a camper out there. So, I mean, if Matthew ever came to Canada and wanted to visit, he could certainly stay in the camper.
Okay.
So there you go.
There you go, Matthew.
There is a little a backyard camping suite now, which is pretty... It's kind of a swanky little thing. It's very retro and cute. It was raining last night, and I wanted to go spend time out there.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It's good upcycling.
Yeah.
Or would you call that upcycling? Yeah.
Well, I mean... It was sure a lot cheaper than buying a new camper. Those things are pricey. I was surprised how expensive buying a new camper is.
But even that one I thought it was expensive at $3,000.
Yeah, but it had no leaks. It had new appliances in it. The interior was more or less done. So
okay.
I mean, I could have bought one for a lot less. I probably could have found one for $500. It was a complete mess. But then you're doing like re-insulating. Oh, you got a super chat, I think.
Bradley. Thank you, Bradley. Appreciate that. Okay, next question comes from Elizabeth. What subject in school, if any, helped the most with your present career?
That's funny because I don't think that...
History class.
No. I don't believe that what you're learning in school is the least important part of school. The most important part of school is learning routines, learning to complete tasks, learning to overcome problems, and getting to be normalized around people in society. You're not going to retain a lot of the knowledge that you get in school and apply it practically later in life. I think the real purpose of school is to teach you positive routines and positive work ethic. And I think that is probably what set me up for success. I wouldn't say that.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, well, not one class or another set me up for success, but I remember the habits that I built then. Like, I had a long bus ride home, and so when I was on the bus, I would do my homework while I was on the bus. So when I got home, I didn't have any homework, and I would always have my assignments in early, and I'd show up to class before time if I could, and hand stuff in. So I was always like ahead. I was very punctual, and I think those are the things that set me up for success. Those behaviors.
Dang, I thought you were going to say math or something. No, I didn't think that, but like.
No, I don't think any particular subject set me up for success. It was just the routines I built.
Okay. Next question.
Somebody says conformity. I don't know. It's not conformity. We live in a society that has certain rules, and you just kind of learn to play the game, I guess, and just I wouldn't say conformity. That's
a cynical way to look at it, saying conformity, but
I guess
I wouldn't say that either, because you're still your own person at the end of the day, right? Because thinking about, like, if you don't mind me saying, some of your comments are people telling you that, how come you're so different than when I first started following you? Now you're all this and that when you used to be not this and that. So you're obviously not conforming to everybody's ideals.
I'm not even conforming to my own ideals. I think the whole purpose of life is that this is an adventure. It's like as if you're going down a river on a raft. You're going to have smooth parts. You're going to have some that are rocky and terrify you. You might have a waterfall that nearly kills you, and then it'll be smooth again. And I think you just have to roll with it. Having a dream to have an antique store was a goal. But then I didn't realize that was a dream of mine before I realized that there could be different dreams or different goals. And I think
you can have more.
You can have more than one dream, and you can discover new things about yourself and new paths to go down. And frankly, where I'm at right now, I'm just figuring out sort of, what I want to do with my life. My goal before was to have the antique shop and to create a cool environment and to have that as a job. And then when you realize that you can kind of step back from that and still do the things you love and maybe give yourself more free time, when you really ask yourself, what is it you want out of life? It's, well, the real priorities are more time with my family, more time with my friends, the ability to travel and see more of the world, because life is incredible. I know it sounds like a cliche, but life is very short. And, you have to think about what you want to accomplish out of this life. And my life's ambition wasn't to work at a store selling Hot Wheels. It was my dream to feel as though I could accomplish something. And so all those videos where I said, I followed my dream and opened an antique store, I shouldn't have said that. I should have said I followed my dream to accomplish major goals and do something different. And that's still my same dream, is to accomplish new and different things.
Do you have a new intro now?
I just cut out the part where I say we had a store.
Okay.
It's still I've been buying and selling antiques since I was 9 years old. But it doesn't say with...
Because you'll likely still do that, just not with a store.
I'm still doing, somebody said to me, like, well, are you done with the antique business now? And I said, well, not really. Like, I couldn't go to a garage sale or something and pass by something I knew was really collectible or valuable and just walk away from it, right? But I'm not, like, somebody wrote me the other day and they said they had a whole bunch of china, like teacups and stuff. And I said, I really appreciate it, but honestly, like, without having the shop now, that's not something I normally stocked a whole lot then. And then they wrote back and they said, I'm really disappointed in you. That would have, I'm disappointed in your answer, but I'm like, I don't want to buy things I don't have an interest in. I'll still buy, like, old wristwatches and old toys and things like that. Or if it's something really cool, remember I had that tiger skull ashtray before? Somebody contacted me and they had one too. Like, it's an 1800s tiger skull, silver enameled kind of ashtray. So I bought that. I want to buy really cool, weird stuff.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I also like weird stuff. I actually have that tooth that you gave me.
Oh,
right here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What is this from again?
It's a big cat. I can't exactly know if it's tiger or something. It's one of those, but a lot of those were, now you can't go and harvest that stuff now.
Right.
So a lot of that stuff has to be, 100 years old or older, which it is. The stuff that the Victorians did was really weird, like dead animals all over your house and framed on a wall. And yeah, it was different.
Okay, well, this kind of relates to one of the points you just made. Janice asks, how do you tactfully tell someone that their treasure isn't such a treasure after all?
Okay, so if somebody offers me something for sale, and I actually had that the other day, and if they're watching your video now, I don't know if they are or they're not. I never know who's watching, but somebody wrote me and they said they had a very rare potbelly stove that came out of a railway caboose, and that it was 120 years old or so and antique, and would I be interested? It's not something I really need in my life right now. It's a big thing. I would just have to run it through auction or sell it. But you know, there's money to be made on things that are railway. So the first thing I said is it stamped anywhere? Because if it's truly from a railway, it will be the size of the one they sent me, but it'll be stamped with the railway line typically on the door or something. So they wrote me back and they said, yes, it is stamped. It's stamped Taiwan. And I said, well, I hate to tell you that. That is not an antique. So I was just honest with them. I just said, unfortunately, that wouldn't be an antique railway. Yeah, that would be a modern reproduction. And unfortunately, it's not something that's quite right for me. But usually I give them recommendations. If it's something that is not up my alley, I give them ideas of where they could sell it. You know, like it's worth X amount of dollars roughly. You could try advertising it locally on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or wherever. And generally they're okay. But when people get mad that I don't buy their stuff, I don't get mad back. But anyway,
That's weird though.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Do you have any idea what this is worth?
Pretty much. That is part of my business that I don't miss, is that people would come in with boxes of just actual junk. And I wouldn't want it at all. And they'd be like, just give me $10. Come on, what's $10? Come on. And they'd be like giving me pressuring me to take this box of absolute garbage. And in the beginning when I had the business, I would feel bad and I'd buy it. And then I'd be left with all this stuff that I couldn't sell. Or I'd donate it or whatever. But after a while, I didn't really want much of anything. Very few things interested me.
I was at your store a few times when that happened.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want it. Yeah.
Martha from Texas asks, first she says you have a lovely wife and family. And then she asks, what is your favorite food?
Do you answer that one first?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
I like a nice steak with, like a stuffed potato or baked potato on the side.
I love steak.
Yeah, like a filet mignon, preferably bacon wrapped if I can get it that way.
Yeah, that's good.
If not, yeah, like a nice steak, like a tenderloin or filet is.
I love steak. I one time accidentally made the best steak I ever had, and I don't remember. I was talking to you the other day. When Ashley buys steak.
You left the barbecue lid open and the squirrel fell on the grill. Remember that time I accidentally made the best steak ever?
That would be hilarious.
Not for the squirrel.
Yeah, imagine.
That'd be a tough way to go.
It smells like burnt hair, but it's delicious.
Oh, God.
So I made it, ate it, and was like, wow, this is so good. It was so tender and so tasty. And
what kind of cut was it?
I don't know. And I don't remember how I made it. I know that because I always experiment. I don't know how to cook. I just know how. I don't know. I don't even know. I know how to take things out of the fridge and out of the spice thing, and I know how to put it on the pan. And
that's where it starts.
Hopefully it tastes good.
Tenderloin's the best cut. Tenderloin filet, those are the best cuts for sure.
Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind. She also asks, do you speak Spanish?
No hablo español.
Okay. And have you ever been to Texas?
No. I have not been to Texas.
Me neither, but one of my best friends moved there and he invited me down, so maybe one day.
Yeah, Texas would be a fun visit someday. Go see the Alamo. I would totally dress up like Pee Wee Herman and go visit the Alamo looking for... Have you seen my bike? Ah! Do you ever see Pee Wee's Big Adventure, the old from the 80s?
Yeah. Dude, I remember me and my little brother, Dakota, my mom used to... she used to be like a housekeeper at a motel, and something happened where we actually had to stay at that motel for like almost a year, right? So we're kind of homeless, but not homeless, not on the street. And anyway, there's nothing to do there. After a while, it's boring because there's no other kids there. Well, sometimes there is and whatever, right? We were young. But anyways, I remember specifically watching that movie one day, And you know the scene where he's in the car and then his bike is in the other car beside it?
That's my bike.
No, before he notices it.
Oh, okay.
Me and my little brother are like, Pee-wee, look, it's right behind you. We're screaming at the TV. So excited. And obviously it's like...
Say what you will about Paul Rubens. That was a good show.
I thought so. Then she also adds, now that you have an acreage, would you consider getting a bigger dog? Of course, if Chewy would allow it.
I'm allergic to dogs and cats and stuff. Chewy is pretty hypoallergenic because he has hair, not fur.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure Melissa would probably get like, she really likes labs. But for me, I would...
she get a retriever though? Because don't they have hair?
I think I'm allergic to all those type of... I'd have to figure out if it's... Maybe I'll find like a hairless dog. That'd look weird. I imagine I'd have to get it sunglasses. If you have a hairless dog, you have to get sunglasses for it. Like, but not any sunglasses, like the 1980s, like that are just chrome, like straight across. And he would say, "Oh yeah," that'd be like his catchphrase every time I hand over at the hairless dog wearing sunglasses. I'd go, "Oh yeah."
That'd be funny, actually. People might find that cruel, but it depends on why it's hairless, though, I guess.
Well, not because I shaved it. I'd find one that was naturally had alopecia.
I wonder if there is a breed that is hairless.
Like, well, they have hairless cats.
Yeah, but they're actually not hairless. Have you ever petted one?
No.
They're not, like, there's little hairs.
Oh.
Like little hairs.
Well, they probably have to have some hair because that's how they sense things all around them, right?
Well, they have whiskers all over their body.
Yeah.
So the longer hairs, if I remember correctly, are whiskers. So yeah, if you go like this on top of a cat, like before you touch it, it'll like wrinkle up. Smurf M asks, what has been your biggest loss or fail in all of your flips? Why does he think it happened, and what was his takeaway from it?
That's a tough question because there's that expression, you're either earning or learning. And I've certainly had some losses, but I always look at a loss when it comes to selling something as an opportunity to learn from it. And usually that's telling me that the market is moving one way or another. In fact, the last auction I did, we sold a jukebox that should have been probably a few $1,000s, went for $500.
Oh.
Now, that was definitely a loss. But, you know, when you think about it, not many people, it's a big piece of furniture. It's very heavy. It only plays a specific few songs on a very specific type of vinyl, 78 RPM. So there's a lot of like, your market gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And there, less and less people remember them being in restaurants and stuff. So then you're looking specifically for a guy who's like 75 to 85 years old who still feels he needs to have a 800-pound jukebox in his life. So the lesson for me is that you have to stay with the trends, and honestly, it was just time for it to go. They're a cool thing and they look neat, but they're just not that practical anymore. So I am, you know, if somebody offered me jukeboxes now, I would say, no, I'm probably not interested because they just really don't sell for what they used to.
Have to be exceptional.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maria asks, do you have a cap when purchasing vintage cars or other antiques? Or is the price determined by value as well as how much money you have in the bank?
I don't wear hats that often. Baseball. I don't have a special baseball cap for that. No, I know you're asking if I have like a limit that I will spend on a vehicle. I'm putting my special car buying cap on today. No, I'm looking at the reason why I like to invest in old cars is that the money that you put into a vehicle, you can typically get back out of an older vehicle.
Plus.
Or make, yeah. And if you end up buying, like you buy, for instance, like what's a brand new minivan now? Like 55, 60 grand or something like that, probably?
Yeah.
They're expensive anyway. I'm talking Canadian now. So let's say you spend $50,000 on a new Caravan, or for the same money, you could go and buy like a totally mint 1970s Porsche. Same thing. What's going to happen over the next few years is the minivan's going to do this and the Porsche is going to do that. And
well, the minivan will immediately go down.
Immediately drop, and then drop down to basically nothing.
Yeah, then you can buy it for $1,000 in 5 years.
Exactly. Where the vintage car will keep its value or go up. And on the flip side of that, if you have $50,000 in the bank, you're gonna gain that a tiny little bit of interest on it. That much. Hello, I'm interest. You're only gonna gain that much interest on it. Where antiques or the right type of antiques or collectibles will actually increase a lot in value, which is why I've put some of my money into old cars, because there's a better return on it. So when you ask me if there's a cap, I wouldn't say like it's limited on how much money a person has to spend on something like that. But as long as, if you can get a $50,000 car that you expect would sell for, $55,000, if you can get that for $35,000, knowing it needs $5,000 to repair, there's $10,000 or $15,000 profit when you go to sell it, and you can drive it and enjoy it and have fun with it. And typically that's what I've done with the old cars I've had. I drive them, I enjoy them, I have fun with them, and when I sell it, I'm usually getting my money back or making money on it, and I've had the joy and privilege of driving something for that period of time. So it's just a fun way of kind of investing money, I guess.
Have you showed them the one that you drove today?
Not yet. That'll be a separate episode.
That's a good one.
Yeah. They've probably seen it in the background.
Ashley really... I saw it in your last video, but just the fender. But not even, though.
Just, this one?
Yeah. Just like... See my finger?
That's how much of it you saw?
Yeah, just barely any of it. I was like, oh, there's the car.
Yeah.
Ashley loves that car. She would drive that. She usually doesn't care about cars, but she's like that one. She's like the eyes look like they're like surprised.
Yeah. It's a cute little car.
It's awesome. Maria also asked, with so many followers, there must be something that we do that drives you nuts. So what is your pet peeve when it comes to viewers?
In some cases, I think it's just forgetting that people on the other end of the camera, like Josh and myself, are also human, and we're going to make mistakes and say things or, say the wrong thing. And so you get corrected a lot. I think the expectations are very high from a viewer that you're going to do everything perfect.
Especially if they happen to be an expert at it.
Or perceive themselves to be an expert.
Yeah, they're probably usually not.
No, and I've also been corrected by people on something that they were incorrect about. Like, oh, they never came out with that until 19 blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, no, they actually did come out with that, earlier. And, there's some cases I have never said, hi, I'm Alex Archbold. I know everything about everything. I've never said that. I'm always learning and always willing to learn. And so a lot of times I think it's the way that feedback is presented probably drives me crazy sometimes, that I don't mind it when somebody's like, oh, I think you might have meant this. Like in the last video I did about the storage locker, I think I said TIE Fighter and I meant to say X-Wing. Star Wars is pretty specific to a movie, and I even put a subtitle saying, whoops, meant to say X-Wing, and then I had so many comments going, look at this joker, thinks he knows antiques and gets the name of a spaceship wrong in Star Wars, whatever. It's like, I say the wrong things all the time. Sometimes I'm driving from a store and I forget what I went there for. Like, oh man, I don't know what it is. I just get like in the zone and I'm excited and I say the wrong word or something. It doesn't mean that I don't know what it is. It just means the wrong thing came out of my mouth.
Right.
And I guess I could reshoot it and re-edit it, but then it's not natural and then it's acting. It's not actually filming the experience.
I know what that's like, because one time walking into this room, I was with Johnny B and I tripped on something and it made him laugh his head off and it totally disrupted like the flow. But I was like, okay, we got to refilm that. That was too embarrassing. But we refilmed it so many times and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I don't like it. Let's use the original. And I'm glad that I actually did.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do refilm stuff, but I usually try to keep it just the one take. Because in real life, if like all these folks were with me, I wouldn't be able to, wait, scratch that. Let's start over. Take it from the top, right? So it's...
But then you put that in there and some of you are like, bud, you better clean up your shop. That's not working safe at all. Someone's going to knock their head open.
That happens all the time.
That you fall in your shop?
No, that people complain about safety, which, I mean, for them, if they would feel unsafe, I hope that they would do what would make them safe. Well, I don't do anything that I feel unsafe about.
Unless you're trying to lift something heavy right now.
Yeah, I can't do that. That I keep forgetting because I'm feeling better than I was, but like, yeah, it sucks to suck, I guess. Speaking of Star Wars, though, Who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Is this an actual question?
My question. What's your favorite ship? The X fighter?
The X fighter. No, the Snowspeeder was my favorite ship when I was a kid because I had the toy and you push a little button and the lights lit up on it. It was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty neat. It was like the sports car of the Star Wars ships.
Okay, I don't even know what that is.
It's the like flat-looking Star Wars ship that they used on Hoth to take down the legs on the AT-ATs.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, I remember that.
This is why I don't do sound effects for movies. Okay, and action. Pew, pew, pew. Uh-oh. Pew, 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 pew. That's like a high-definition action scene from Star Wars replayed live.
Some people might not know this, but Alex does voiceover stuff occasionally.
Oh, but I do, though. Are you joking or being serious?
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For commercials and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone knows that. Have you ever told anyone that? I mean, you told me that.
Well, I mean, they probably know if they watch my channel because a lot of the voiceover stuff I do is for that. But I've done it for...
No, you do it for companies. Or you used to.
I stopped doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a spokesperson for a company that made electrical, like commercial electrical parts.
Wait, are you the guy? Remember that? Have you ever heard that commercial where the guy's like, the discombobulated defibrillator has a double flange? Like,
I was that guy.
It sounds like such nonsense, that dude.
Our 318 stainless steel bolts are stronger than the competition's. They're better than the competition's, and they're longer than the I don't know. I don't know why length of a bolt would... So I'm not even going to go there. Anyway, yeah, I have done that stuff. Okay. But
your favorite character, though?
Okay, that's tough because you're talking about my favorite character in the show or my favorite action figure to play with. Because my favorite action figure to play was Boba Fett, bar none.
Okay.
Coolest uniform, he could fly and shoot rockets. What more do you need out of a character?
Okay.
I'd say Han Solo though.
Okay.
He was like more, but then you have to remember I was also a fan of like, you know, Indiana Jones and every other Harrison Ford type thing that was out there. So I'd say Han Solo was probably my favorite character. Yeah.
Okay. My favorite character was Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, in Star Wars, yeah, he was great in that. in the cantina scene when Han Solo popped him.
Dude, now that Disney owns Star Wars, I wonder if they could sneak them in somewhere.
Like in the background, or like
that would be hilarious.
Jango Fett's in the background drinking from a Buzz Lightyear mug or something.
That would be like a Star Command. Yeah, dude, that would be awesome.
You know, truth be told, yeah, instead of Greedo, they replaced the scene where he's like haggling with Buzz Lightyear. Yo tolo solo, Buzz Lightyear, and he's like, I don't think so, Buzz. Pow pow. I'm done with Star Wars though. That's a bold statement to make. Too much of a good thing. It's like I really like chocolate ice cream. Here you go, and a like cement truck of chocolate ice cream pulls up and dumps it on your face. You're like the first few bites, you're like, wow, this is all right. I like chocolate. Then before you know it, you're dead.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I am done. They killed. I was such a big Star Wars fan as a kid. I had a lot of the toys, and I watched the movies and all that, and I used to love watching them. And then even the George Lucas ones that were like really lame and kind of a little bit racist, those were not very good. But I was like, well, they made some more Star Wars movies. And I was so hyped up about the new one. And I didn't mind the one that Harrison Ford was back in. And then all the others since, and then they do Star Wars everything. I wonder if society ended now, like an asteroid hit, bam, that there's so much popularity around Star Wars now that people might think it was like a religion or it was an actual event because there's so much stuff around it. Like clearly, if these people focus so much of their energy on Star Wars, it must have been a real thing.
Yeah, you know, because they do like, why? I shouldn't be speaking for them. I heard a story of these people who found skulls in a circle. And they're like, oh, this must have been a religious something, like the animal skulls, not people skulls. Yeah. Animal skulls in a circle. And whoever found them, one of the theories anyway, was that this must have been a religious, ceremonial something or other. And then the guy telling the story was like, well, I'm a hunter, and my son has done that. And he's not religious at all. So yeah, people sometimes put skulls in circles for no reason.
That's dark.
Like I have a skull hanging up right there. It means nothing. I just think it looks cool.
Is that what happened to the last guest that was here?
Okay, next question comes from Nina in Oz. Hi, Alex. Are you and Melissa still going to get chickens?
Yeah, we are. Not this year though. We have to get our landscaping done, a bunch of other stuff. That's down the road. But
That
yeah,
makes
we
sense.
are. The kids all want to have their own chicken. Abigail's already named her chicken, even though she doesn't have it yet. She's gonna name it Nuggy.
We have a chicken named Nugget.
Do you? Yeah. Okay. See, there you go. It's a good name for a chicken.
Yeah. She asked if you do, or if you are, will you be making a mansion coop like Josh and Ashley's?
Probably not. No.
I could build it for you.
Yeah. Or I like your mansion coop just fine, but I have no idea how I'd move it over there.
Well, I don't. You know someone who.
Because
Because I want to build a bigger one, a better for our, like, that would be a perfect coop for anyone who just wants to have chickens, because it can hold 100 chickens.
That's a lot of chickens.
Yeah, but you'd need to do some modifications for, like, so they could all roost and stuff. But like, it's good for a lot. But for me, I want a bigger one. So I've been trying to get this guy to take it off my hands, but doesn't know how to move it for some reason. Weak. Then she also asked, are you planning on having any other animals on your property?
I think chickens will be the next thing, and I thought about maybe getting a sheep or something because it would keep the grass down. Nature's lawnmower,
You need to get 2 though.
also nature's fertilizer. Yeah, you'd have to have a couple. Oh, you got a super chat.
100 sex. Whatever that is. Could you talk about how the 2 of you met? You guys are awesome together. After these, sure. Thank you, by the way, for the super chat. Okay, Lulu Bell asks, oh yeah, by the way, you need to have 2 sheep because they get depressed if they're lonely, and then they die.
What if I got a saddle for it and let Chewy ride it around the yard?
If they have a lot of interaction, like, because you can pair them with a goat or a donkey,
Yeah.
or a llama, or an alpaca.
Do you know that donkeys are actually like really good at calming down lots of other animals? We were doing this movie once, and we had to have deer on set, and they had an animal wrangler, and he had actual deer, right? And they're pretty skittish.
Yeah.
But he had to have a donkey with the deer to keep the deer quiet, basically like tame, so they could shoot the scene.
Yeah, I actually did know that. They're also good guardian animals.
Donkeys?
Yeah, they'll kick the shit out of a coyote. They'll kick the shit out of you. I've never been kicked by one, but my mom has been kicked by one.
By a donkey?
Yeah, and it broke her
Well,
something. She had to get an organ removed.
okay. Well, I'm less inspired to have a donkey now.
Well, you just have to be careful, I guess. I don't know. You have to know it has to know you. Like, you can't. It's just like a horse. You can't just sneak up on one. You ever see a video where someone, like, the horse doesn't know you're there, and they get all skittish, and then they. Yeah,
I've seen the cartoons where the donkey's wearing a straw hat and has like the straw out of his mouth, and it just angrily kicks Elmer Fudd across the room or something. So no, based on that alone, yeah. Somebody said that was SEK is Swedish krona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's a good name. Sex for money. That anyway.
I feel like I'm being propositioned here.
Lulu Bell asks, have you ever bought something for what you thought was a fair price, but then discovered it was worth so much more than you paid? And how did it make you feel? I know that you've done this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, when I bought the Potter's house, we thought it was a bunch of garbage. I just bought the house to do a video series of, and at first sight there was nothing, and then I ended up finding all of our pottery, and we ended up actually, we had paid for the house and it was ours, but I ended up selling all the stuff and giving half the money back to the family because I felt like they were owed it. Yeah, you know, in Betty Jones' case of the musician's house, she had no heirs. She had nobody in her will to leave it to, other than the piano student. And so in that case, there wasn't really, I found a whole bunch of stuff and it was worth way more than I thought. Yeah, it was awesome. Obviously, it was life-changing. But because Betty Joan wasn't around anymore, what we did is we ended up setting up a scholarship fund for her students, so that they could continue on with their education for at least the next decade or so. But it's one of those things, like if it's a person that you think could really, I don't know, if you know who the person is, and you know, I think it's fair if something is worth way more than what you thought to give them the money. In a scenario where it's like a storage unit or a house where nobody is surviving anymore and there's no heirs, I think that you can benefit from that, but also do something back with it. So I don't know, guys.
Right.
I mean,
and many people wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
You know, I never said this before, but when Adam came into our store for the Bambi cell, which was early on in our business, the money that I got from selling that animation cell was the only money I had to my name at that time. I was like flat broke.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, tell the rest of the story. Tell the part that you did tell me.
What about when Adam came in?
Yeah. Well, you told some of it, because like a lot of people thought you were an ass for not giving him like a fair share.
Well,
because you bought it for like $50 or whatever.
$20.
$20.
Yeah.
Ended up being worth $3,000 or whatever.
Well, that's the thing, is that when I got it, it came in a Safeway bag with like garbage on it.
You were cleaning it had juice off of it.
It had schmeary juice on the outside of the glass. I took it out, and then there was the certificate of authenticity on the back, and then I couldn't find another one to figure out. I was like, well, what do you want for it? And anyway, we figured out $20 because he would just bring in whatever he found that day to try and get some money. That was a scenario where people would just bring me in sometimes actual garbage. So I was like, well, it looks like an animation cell, but I thought it was like one of those 1980s ones, like they sold at the mall or something, that was probably worth like $100 or something.
I don't need to get that. That's a scammer.
Yeah. So when I found out it was actually worth a lot of money, I didn't have Adam's phone number or anything because he was literally homeless, and so I drove around for weeks. But yeah, Melissa and I were, quite honestly, it was very early on in our business, and we were struggling that week and that month. But I knew that I wanted to give him the money back. And actually a friend of mine said, well, don't give him all of the money back in cash, because if he has addictions challenges or something like that, it might just be gone right away. And so what I told him, which was on the video, is that I'll split it with him. But I actually didn't keep his half, as probably many of you know.
You did say. You did tell.
I think I put it in the notes or whatever, but the reason why I didn't give him all of it is because I was cautioned that it might get blown. Like, it might just disappear, right? Even though it was his money, he might not be in the right frame of mind and whatever. Anyway, so I split the money. I found him, and I gave him half the money in cash. And then he called me the next day, and unfortunately the money was gone. Somebody he knew had
stole it.
I don't know if they stole it. I think they used it, and they had a really wild party for a couple days. And
dude, they stole it.
Anyway, so I got back in touch with him, and I used the half of the money that I had kept aside for him to get clothes and a hotel and a ticket home, and I took him to get his license. And I had to, it was such an ordeal to get his license too, because it's almost cyclical that somebody is on the streets and they don't have their ID anymore. And then to get your ID, you need to have ID to get an ID, or you have to have somebody from social services meet you at like a registry office so you can get your ID. So I took him to the social services office. They said, yeah, it's like a 3 to 6 month wait. And I was so mad at the guy. I'm like, we can get him on a train and get him home tomorrow, and he's no longer homeless. And you're sitting here telling me that you guys can't help us for 6 months and he's going to go back to living on the street? I said, that's unacceptable. I said, somebody here, please, can come with me. Just come on your lunch break. I will buy you lunch. I will pay for you to come. And then one guy that was working there is like, well, it's like a block away. I can go on my lunch break if you want. And so he did. If I hadn't have pleaded for that guy to come from that social service site to come down to the registry office, Adam wouldn't have gone home, and whatever money we had would have been used up. And I don't know what would have happened. But anyway, yeah, basically we got Adam home and spent the money on that. And it was one of those things that I remember talking to Melissa, and Melissa said, you know, like, that was all the money we had, and we had mortgage payments coming off. And I said, we'll figure it out. We always figure it out. And it's hard to believe that was only, like 4 or 5 years ago?
Now you're rich. You're mad rich. I mean, if you read the comments, people say you're rich. Say that you have a huge mansion. And it's a nice house. And it's a decently big house, but it's not a mansion.
No, it's a normal size house. We didn't want to be cleaning. It just looks bigger than it is. But either way, even if it was a mansion,
It's sick though.
if you can take yourself from being born into a situation where you're living on couches and motels and stuff, and then go through school and work your way up to have a business and go from moments where you have nothing to being successful, isn't that the whole dream of anybody? Is that if you try hard enough at something that you'll succeed? And the whole purpose of my channel, I always say when people say that, like, I don't know if I can watch your channel anymore because it seems like you're doing too well. I'm like, the purpose of my channel is to teach you guys to do well. So if I would have been like
prove that it's possible to.
If I was like, yeah, I went broke, I guess there's no money in this antique business, they'd be like, well, that was a bunch of hooey.
Yeah.
Sorry about my potty language. I said hooey. But I mean, truthfully, the goal of doing anything is to try and provide a better life for yourself or your family. And so that was my goal, is provide as nice of an experience for my kids, to try and get them set up for success so that they can have a future. And so, no, I'll never be ashamed of finding success in my 40s. You know, like I struggled long enough and worked hard enough throughout my entire adulthood that if I'm doing well now, I should hope that anybody out there should also do well.
Yeah, but some people, not everyone, of course, because some people are genuinely happy for you, but some people are like, they're happy for you when you succeed as long as you don't succeed faster than them.
Doesn't matter what they think.
Happens to me all the time.
Who cares?
I know.
I mean, because you're living your life for your experiences. And we talked about this the other day, how nothing in this whole world really matters other than how you are experiencing the world and how you are influencing the world around you. Mm-hmm. And if somebody's going to be a detractor out there and try and make your experience more miserable, then it shouldn't matter.
Right, exactly. I agree. I don't know. You choose that one or not.
Oh, if you want to, Tracy says, if we want to contact you, is there a way? Yeah. CuriosityEdmonton@gmail.com is the way. By email, always the best way.
Scottish Unicorn asks, hey, Alex, you always seem so polite and friendly. Who or what makes you need to go to a quiet room to calm down or have a rant?
I had a really bad day yesterday, actually. Really? I had a guy yelling at me in a parking lot yesterday over a neon clock.
Oh.
You want me to tell that story?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I might retell it on my own channel too at some point. But a while back, I got a neon clock and I want to put it in my garage. So I took it into a guy for repair. And he said, it'll be done next week. So next week comes around and he says, sorry, it's not done. It's be another week. And I go, oh, okay, no problem. He's waiting on the part. And so next week comes around. Anyway, he keeps saying it's next week until like a month has gone by. So I said, you know, is there a problem with the part? Is there anything I can do? Like, I'm trying to be empathetic at that point, right?
Right.
And he says, I'll drop it off at your store today. It's done. So I said, okay, well, at that point, I didn't have the store anymore. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to make a special trip in. So be great to know time. He said, oh, I'll be there sometime between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. So I'm like, okay, well. So I went there and I was cleaning and trying to keep myself busy. And then it came to like 4 o'clock and he never showed up. And I said, I've been waiting here like all day. I don't live in town anymore. Where are you? And then he never wrote back until like the next day. He's like, sorry, you got tied up, but it's not done yet. Well, it's going to be done next week. And I'm like, then don't tell me to meet me at my store if it's not done. So he kept saying it's going to be done tomorrow. I'll meet you somewhere. And then he wouldn't show up. And so it got to the point where he stood me up 4 or 5 times. And I was like, okay, something really fishy is going on here. It's been now 2.5 months or something. I don't have my clock. Every time he tells me it's done, he doesn't show up where he says he's going to, or he says, I'm going to bring it to you tomorrow. And I'm like, what time? I'll let you know. Tomorrow comes. Sorry, I'll give you tomorrow. So I finally said, I'm done. And I got upset. I said, I'm done being screwed around. My time is valuable too. I can't just sit around. I don't live in the city anymore. Every time you tell me to meet you somewhere and you don't show up, that's my time you're wasting. And he gave me this story of how, oh, but I'm only going to make $40 off of repairing your clock and it's not worth my time. And I got to take bigger jobs than yours because you're just a small fish. And what do I care? And I said, I don't want to hear how worthless you think my job is. I said, you're the one that set the price. I just said, I want to get the thing repaired. You said it's going to be this much money. I said, okay. You said it's done in a week. I said, okay. And then it's all the other stuff, right? The standing me up and telling me it's done and lying and whatever, right?
Right.
So finally I say to him, if I don't get the clock back on Monday, I'm afraid I'm going to have to go to the police and file this as a stolen item. Okay. And so he writes me Monday, and he said, I'll have it to you tomorrow afternoon, Tuesday. That was yesterday, right?
Yesterday, okay.
Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Wait, what day is it?
That was two.
Today's Wednesday.
Okay, so he says, I'll have it to you Tuesday. Yeah, okay, this is yesterday. So he says, Tuesday, 1 o'clock, I'll meet you at this hotel or whatever, and I'll bring it there. And so 1 o'clock goes around, and I said, okay, I'm here. Like, where are you? It's not going to be today, bud. Sorry, it's going to have to be another day. And I said, no, this is on you. I said, do you want to drop that clock off? I recommend you drop it off at the police stations. That's where I'm driving right now. And so immediately I got a phone call from him. And he said, what are you trying to pull? Going to the police. And he called me every name in the book. Like, you big baby. He had a lot of problems with females. You're just some girly man playing with your girly toys and, being a big baby, going to the police and stuff. And anyway, he said, you think I care about your $40? You got another? I said, I don't want to hear it. This is where I'm going to be. Bring me the clock. He said, no, I'm not going to drive all the way out there. You're going to meet me on the south side, way opposite end of town for me. It was almost an hour drive, from my house. So I go there and I say, if you're not here again, I'm driving directly to the police station and I'm going to be taking this up with the police, and that's on you. And so anyway, he was there and he had the biggest fit, waving his arms around in the parking lot. And the funny thing was that I had my headphones on because I was listening to music to try and kind of like calm myself before this event, right? So when I saw him waving his arms around, I actually didn't hear a thing. All I saw was this, like an angry monkey, like outside of my window. And I was like, what did you say? And then he's like, I called you a girly man going to the police because you got a problem with me making $40 off your stupid clock. And I just said, I don't want to hear anything out of your mouth. All I want you to do was go get my clock and we're done. And so he's just like beaking off, like, I've got the best reputation in town and don't ever mess with me. And, your $40 is worthless to me. And I said, I don't want to hear how my job is worthless. He says, no, you're worthless. You're worthless. And he's yelling to the point where the people at the nearby gas station come out and they're like watching. And he was just losing his mind. And I was just like, I knew that all I cared about was getting my thing back, right?
Right.
I didn't want to provoke him. I could have said nasty things. I said, this has nothing to do with $40. I said, this has never been about the money, so I don't ever want to hear that again. I had to tell him that like 3 or 4 times. Like he was complaining about how I'm not making enough money off of this off you. I'm like, you're the one that picked the price. I don't know what this normally costs to fix. You pick a price. You give me a time. I said, this is about your word, and this is about your lack of respect for my time. Now give me the clock, and I'm leaving. And so basically, I took the clock and walked away, and he was just yelling and waving his arms around the whole time as I got back in my car and left. But I slept like a baby last night because I didn't even feel bad about it. I had to be assertive to get it back, but not in a way that was, it wasn't like I was going to go on. And you notice I didn't say what his name was on this. I didn't say his company name. It'd be very easy for me to do that, but I'm not going to. You have to stand your ground as well sometimes. And somebody says, did the clock work? No, it was completely taken apart. And so now I have to try and rebuild it on my own.
So you didn't even do anything with it?
No, I got it back in pieces, worse than it was before. And mostly, he was saying that I was impatient and wouldn't wait the week. Has nothing to do with that. If you give somebody a realistic time frame, like if you say, I have to repair this item, it's going to take me 1 to 2 months, it's X amount of dollars. I'd go fine. But when somebody says, I'm going to have it to you next week, meet me here and I'll give it to you, and then you do, and they don't show up or they stand you up over and over and over again, that's a problem because I value my time. And I think everybody out there should also value their time too. Like, what is your time worth per hour? Right. What is this person costing you? And for me, that person, I figured it out that all the times that he stood me up cost me probably about $1,000 in my time. Yeah. And so when he's complaining about only making $40, he's not considering what consequence he's had on his client. And being a client, there's so many other ways he could have handled it. Right. Like if you were behind on a project, just be honest and say...
Yeah, you can just say, oh, it's not going to be done. Sorry.
I've got a lot on my... All he had to say that first weekend that he was going to find out that he was going to be late, he could have said, hey, I know I took the project on. I've got a lot on my plate right now, some big jobs I have to do. It's going to be about 2 months before I can get to it. If that works for you, I'll keep it here and I'll get to it. If it doesn't, you're welcome to come pick it up or I can meet you somewhere. That would have been it. Then I could have made a decision as the client to figure out what I was going to do one way or the other. Anyway, that felt like a bit of a rant. But having been in customer service and having been a manager for many years, you learn to understand when you need to be calm, but also be strong enough to have to make choices to get what you need done. Because frankly, I don't think he would have ever given it back to me had I not said I was taking it to the next level. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was a long answer.
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
But you didn't really answer it.
What was the question again? Oh, polite and friendly. What makes? Yeah, it's who or what makes you need to go to a quiet room? And so,
I guess that was.
Yeah, and so when there's a situation like that, I think I still feel empathy for him, that I understand that this is an adult who's probably in their 60s that hasn't learned some very important life skills. And I'm not saying that to be demeaning. It's that nobody taught them proper customer service. They never taught them how to diffuse a situation. And so this is a person who's lacking some skills. And so you have to
learn those if he went to school.
I can't speak to his education. For all I know, the man could be, have multiple degrees. I'll never judge somebody based on what I don't know.
Right.
But what I do know is that they showed no ownership for what they did to cause a situation, and that shows a lack of maturity. And you can have people in their 60s or 70s or 100 years old who lack maturity just like a teenager. So if you never learn those skills.
Right.
So I just look at it like this is a person who's doesn't have a lot of skill sets in those areas and how to handle a situation. Unfortunately, I have to take these steps to get my thing back. And that included basically, I was driving to the police station. So, and the police would have said, it's been 2 months and the guy is clearly messing with you and telling you to show up and not showing up. Why didn't you fill out this police report a month ago? Mm-hmm. So anyway.
What a gracious conclusion.
Thanks.
Melanie, her dad owns a 40-acre auto salvage yard in southeast Nebraska. Growing up, she used to ride along in the flatbed to go pick up cars. It was always exciting to find treasures, she says, in the trunks. My most memorable was a quarter I sat on in what would become my 69 Nova when I turned 16. Oh, that's cool. What has been a memorable find for you in a car that you rescued?
Oh, like what have I found inside of a car that I thought was really cool? I'd have to go back. The first thing that comes to mind is when you found, I was reaching into the seat of an old Mercedes I bought out of a field, and I was like, oh, there's something down here. Feels kind of round, and I pull up a mouse skull. Ah! That wasn't necessarily cool, but
it was memorable.
I remember as a kid, even in the 80s, there used to be back roads where there was cars that were left on the side of the road that had been there since the 20s. There was a period of time where a person would, their car would break down, they'd push it off in the ditch, and it would sit there for 50, 60 years or more. And they would just be like, oh, there's that abandoned car, because nobody wanted to deal with it. And there was a 1920s Chevy, let's say, and it still had the registration in the glove box from the 20s, and it was sitting there in the 80s.
That's cool.
So 60 years or something had gone by, and the guy's registration was still in there from back in the day. It was pretty cool. Since then, they if a vehicle breaks down on the side of the road, the county or whatever, they have laws in place to tow it away. But it's crazy to think that those rules are fairly recent. That up until when I was a kid, there would be cars sitting there for half a century.
Yeah.
People wouldn't even go near it.
It's cooler to find old cars. It's not cool to find a 2004 Civic. No one's like, oh, dude, look at this cool old car in here. Look at all the bullet holes. I wonder if there's, I don't know, whatever in it. But if it's an old, I don't even know. I don't know old cars that well. If it's a 56 Cadillac, is that a good car?
Sure it is.
You would think it was cool even if it was, rotted away.
Sometimes I just really you know what I haven't done in a while? I love to take pictures. I love to do photography, and I haven't done that in ages. Where I would get in my vehicle, this is before I had the YouTube or whatever, and I would just go around and drive out in the country, and I'd take photos of things I thought were cool. And yeah, sometimes you find an old car in a field or whatever, and you get the yellow of the field and the blue of the sky and this rusty old wreck sitting there. It's kind of, I don't know, there's a certain romance to it.
Yeah. It's never going to be a 2004 Civic, though. No one's going to care.
You'd be surprised. The youngsters that are younger than you, yes, there are people younger than you. Like Steven's age, they're into like the Japanese cars more than they're into the North American.
But no one wants a Civic. There are some, I guess, if you get like a Type R or an SI or something.
See, there you go. It depends on the Civic.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm just talking about your run-of-the-mill grocery
photograph. Yeah.
Right. And they won't even be rusty, though, actually, because they're plastic.
I think what I love doing, excuse me, I love seeing the potential in things, whether it's an old car or an old house or whatever it is. That's my favorite thing in the whole world is seeing, I can stand back and look at something and imagine the story behind it and imagine it fixed up. I think I used to take pictures of old cars thinking, well, that'd be cool if it was fixed. But now I think that there's more beauty in it as it is.
Yeah.
You know,
like that rainbow truck that I showed you?
Yeah, just leaving it as it is. Because it has more character if you painted it just a single color. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with doing something to restore something. But in my opinion, if something already looks cool, try to leave it. I mean, I guess it depends. Susan, she asks, I never miss your vlogs. If offered a good price for your beautiful Mustang, speaking of cars, would you sell it? The 65 Mustang has always been her favorite.
Well, it's a 68 Mustang, not a 65, so maybe that one wouldn't be your favorite. But I guess to answer your question, things are pretty well just things. Like, the reason why I own collectibles is because I enjoy them, but also as an investment. So yes, if somebody came along and wanted to buy one of my old cars, I probably would sell it. The only thing I probably wouldn't sell right away would be the truck because it's very practical. And I was telling Josh, like, I have people offer to buy my truck for me all the time. And I always say no. And it's not that they're not offering more money or that, it's what am I going to get? I'm still going to need a truck, and I'm not going to find one that looks that cool, that does what that one does, and fits my whole family in it. So I say no because that's practical for me. It'd be like if you're mowing your lawn and somebody's like, hey, you want to sell that lawnmower? You're like, well, I'm kind of using it right now.
Yeah. Cindy asks, she says, first off, thank you both for sharing what you do on YouTube. You are two of my favorites. You have been on the acreage a while, and I was wondering if you have found anything you wish you had changed or anything you would like to add.
Well, there are certain things that, when we started construction that we changed along the way or altered. There's certain aspects of the front area of our home, like where the sitting room is, where I would have moved some of the support beams over a little bit to give a little bit more room at the landing. Sure, there's always something. But at the end of the day, Melissa and I designed the house. And, would we have done a few things different? Probably. But it's a comfortable size home for us. It's like Josh said, it's a nice size home, but it's not huge in the sense that it doesn't take us, 2 days to clean it. That's actually an anxiety nightmare I'd have is you have a house too big.
I love big houses.
Yeah, but I don't know. A big house would seem lonely to me.
Get a maid.
I am more, this is going to sound really weird, but when we've stayed out in the mountains and rented one of the little cabins, and when it's the five of us, like me and the kids in a cabin, we're sitting on the floor playing cards and stuff, I'm probably happier than being in a big house.
You know what? That is actually true. But you like collecting some stuff, right? You mainly change off vehicles, your collections.
Yeah.
But like me, I like collecting stuff, and I want to have room for the collections without being... This is a bad example, but without being cluttered. This is super cluttered, but like...
It's interesting, though.
I love interesting stuff, like this. Okay? Jim gave me this cannonball.
Oh, cannonball, yeah. Did he find that in Saskatchewan?
Not that Jim. The other Jim.
Oh.
I forget what his name is.
Pearson?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he gave me that.
He's a cool dude.
I thought that was cool. And then... Do you remember when we found these somewhere? We found these in one of the hoarder houses.
Oh, yeah. Mucilage Tragosanth BP.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
It's got floaties in it. I wouldn't try it.
No, but like I like that stuff. I have like the
little apothecary bottles and things.
Yeah, quills that Hank, my dog who passed away.
I think you might be... like a Victorian
wasp that tried to kill me last year.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about, how earlier in the chat, how Victorians collected weird stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, how they had like dead bugs on their wall and antlers and horns. Like, oh, wait a minute, that's Josh. You're like the modern day Victorian. Yes, I just got back from the Congo and I have a water buffalo head upon my piano.
But if I didn't have room, I wouldn't have it. I would just wish I had it. And so, like my shop, a lot of people tell me they wish that this was their shop. But like, I already have this shop, so I know that I wish I had a bigger one because I know what my needs are here in this space.
Right.
So eventually I will build a bigger one. Same with my house. I like my house. It's a 1-bedroom though. I don't have any kids now, but what if I wanted to have any? Where are they going to sleep?
Bunk beds.
Where, in the living room?
Yeah, stack them. Build that turret you've been talking about.
I want to do that. And did I ever tell you, I want to build a tunnel from my solarium, which doesn't exist yet, to my greenhouse that also doesn't exist yet. But a tunnel that'll come from my basement. You can go upstairs into the solarium, which will be off the house. Or you can go through the tunnel that goes through the garden to the greenhouse, which will go into my, what do you call it?
Why wouldn't you just...
Root cellar?
Is this because you want to go outside in winter?
It's because it's cool to have a tunnel.
It is.
Right?
I'd be lying if I said I didn't secretly... I had thought about building in like a revolving bookcase or something in my house.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Maybe that'll be the next edition.
When Jim was here, Blacksmith Jim,
yeah,
we were talking about... I want to build a suit of armor, and I just recently got a bunch of copper from my brother. He brought it from I can't really...
Was it copper ore? Or is it like sheets of copper?
Sheets of copper.
Oh, okay.
And anyways, he got it from some famous person, and he doesn't like me telling who his clients are or anything, just in case people are weird about it. But someone famous, and I'm going to try to make when I make the suit of armor out of the copper, I'm going to try to make it like a little Easter egg that says where the copper came from. But anyway, I want a suit of armor. My house doesn't really have room for a suit of armor, but if I put a little build out in my tunnel, put it in there. And then I was also thinking in the walls, I like rocks and certain cool rocks, but I'm not going to bring home a bunch of rocks. Doesn't make sense. But when I see a cool one, I would like to have a place to put it. Could put it in my tunnel, right in the...
This is where this is going.
I think that would be sick, no?
I think it'd be good. You know, one day I'll come out here and Ashley be like, if you want to find Josh, you're going to have to look down, and you'll be like, there'll be a shovel coming out of the earth.
Maybe actually, since I can't do much manual labor, she'll be the one digging it.
Well, maybe when you maybe you'll be fine.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I like big houses. I can't remember what the original point was, but...
Oh, is there anything about the acreage you would have changed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably have to add a little gravel road going in through the backyard to where the pool is, because trying to get access trucks and stuff back there right now, they keep ripping up the lawn.
When it's raining, yeah, you got soggy ground.
Yeah, the pool's heated by propane, and we can't get the propane truck back there if it's rainy, and we've had nothing but rain. So we'll probably have to build some kind of infrastructure back there. And I would like to build like a little shop back in the trees or something like that at one point. But
okay, we're at an hour. Do you want to keep going because there's still questions?
We can answer some questions if you guys watching are okay with it.
I'm sure they'll be fine. There's 1,031 people here. Why not?
Why not? Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for sticking in as well.
Yeah. Barbara asked, do you have a favorite pick that surprised you? You've picked a lot of stuff.
Well, I mean, obviously going through the musician's house through Betty Jones' place was like an unbelievable... Josh was there the day I got it.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like there was going to be a bunch of jewelry in that place.
Or bars of gold or
silver and
silver.
Stuff. Yeah, there was gold coins and stuff though. But
there was.
What I was excited about on that first day was that, look, there's tools in the basement.
Yeah.
Like, I can probably sell this piano. Look, there's tools. That's what I was happy about. That pick really surprised me because not only did I find a bunch of cool stuff, but I found out that the little lady I thought that I was told needed the money for selling the Cadillac so she could go on a trip, that she was just like, oh, thanks. And, just probably put it in the coffee can.
You probably found the money that you gave her.
I might have.
Dude, she was loaded.
Yeah, I think I did pay her cash. And then she's like actually a millionaire.
Yeah.
And like, could have bought, like this Vince, the guy who inherited the house and the safe deposit box. He's like, she could have bought and sold us like so many times, and we both, neither of us knew that she had anything. And that was the one thing when somebody said, are there comments that bother you? That the ones where it's like, I can't believe you took advantage of that old lady. What are you talking about? Took advantage of some old lady. I met this lady, was told she needed money, bought her car at fair market value that didn't run, and then she passed away, and somebody else sold me the house.
Yeah,
and I just happened to find a bunch of stuff.
Lots of people were saying that was elder abuse.
Yeah,
you can't abuse someone who's not alive.
Well, that would be really weird.
I suppose you.
But no, she was just a nice, I would run into her and I'd say hello. And, I just thought, oh, there's, little Betty Joan, how's it going? Popped my head out the window, took her for a drive in her car. That's all that was. But
huge pick, lots of surprises.
There was lots of surprises out of that pick.
I hope you don't mind me saying this, but there was way more than you actually showed.
Yeah, people who watched the auctions were like, I don't remember him finding all this stuff.
Oh, okay.
And that's because I didn't want the house to get robbed that I was picking through, because we were actively going through it, and I was driving my ambulance and loading it, and people knew exactly where it was.
Right.
But also, I want to make sure my family was safe and that the auction house was safe. That as we're taking stuff and sorting it, if I'm like, I just found a gold bar or something like that, then the next day my house would be broken into. So we kind of kept a lot of that stuff on the down low. I showed a bit, but I didn't show it all.
Yeah, I would have. I would have been like, look at this, cha-ching, cha-ching. Even the stuff that, because I wasn't there every day, but when I was there, like there wasn't a time that you didn't find something.
No, it was insane.
Right? And it's like,
like underneath the carpets and in little baggies here and there, and it was.
And
you
had to start
crazy.
Checking everything instead of being like, oh, there's probably nothing in there. You had to be like, just in case.
Well, then I went through all the garbage that Vince had thrown out and found some stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, because he put it in the garage.
Yeah, he said, can you throw all the garbage out for me? I'm like, well, I'm going to go through the garbage and make sure he didn't accident. And that there was rings.
Yeah.
Like 10-karat gold rings and stuff in there. So, I had to work for that. Pay a crew of people, pay for dumpsters. And, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. But it was definitely worthwhile.
Guitar Missy, actually, do you want to answer that one?
Okay, so, is that who I'm reading?
Yeah.
So Irma Guzman says, or Guitar Missy says, where did you and Melissa meet? Melissa and I met, I was friends with her dad's girlfriend's daughter, I guess, her stepsister in a way. They weren't married, but anyway, they all lived in the same house, and I was working on a biology assignment with this girl. Went over and was visiting there, and Melissa was there, and Melissa's a couple years younger than me, and Melissa would come up and say, oh, can you teach me how to play guitar, and kind of hang out with me. And
you were like, sure.
Pretty much, yeah. But we became pen pals while I moved away.
Pen pals.
We met, we were in high school, and then I moved away, and we wrote like actual letters back and forth, and I did little drawings.
How old are you?
I'm that old.
That's hilarious. Pen pals, okay.
Yeah, we wrote. And I don't even know if there was internet. Like there was internet, but it was only for playing like, a couple online video games. Like webcams were just invented.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, you can reach somebody at a university server. That's how old I am. I was there before the internet. We've been together since about 1996. It's been a long time. You weren't even born yet.
No. She also asked, do you ever plan to release an album of your own music?
No.
No?
No.
You only have, 4 songs of your own that you've released?
Of my own that I've written?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 or 4 of my... I mean, I have tons of songs that I've written that are on my phone that I haven't recorded yet, but I don't know. It's like anybody who sings or records, I feel like I want to practice more and get better at it, and I just don't feel overly confident in myself to be like, no, I'm putting out my new record, go buy it on iTunes. I just don't feel like I'm at that level, you know what I mean?
Okay, but what about Bob Dylan?
Well, I mean... some people don't like his singing.
That's terrible, but he has great songs.
He's an amazing, the same thing goes for Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen's one of the best songwriters probably ever. His stuff's been covered by everybody. But
I think he's great.
But his people say his singing lacks luster, and he would have admitted that himself.
Maybe
too.
So, but it's the right. Just same with Uh, what's the guy?
Tom Waits.
No, the old man. Take a look.
Oh, Neil Young.
Yeah, people think that his voice sucks too. I think he's good, but probably people think that Bob Dylan sounds good too. I think he sounds terrible, but
I like Neil Young. I can't sing in his key though, because he sings very high, like way up here. You know, not many people, but Neil Young could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he sounds great, but people think that he sounds bad. So I guess it's subjective, of course, as
everything is.
Most music. Yeah.
Every time I do a video, and like when I painted the camper blue and white, like people are like, wow, that's amazing, I love it. And then there's like, that's the most hideous thing I've ever seen. I would never paint it. You should have painted all gray and black. And then right underneath, like, gray and black was terrible. That blue and white looks way better. That's the great thing about opinions. Everybody has one. You're allowed to like, not everybody has the same favorite color. You know, I don't care. It's like, I got to live my life for me and you got to live your life for you. And you don't want to paint your camper that color. That's fine.
She also asked, did you ever mistake a fake vintage item for the real thing?
I had some, not vintage, but I had a guy come into my store once and he had, he was trying to sell me all these silver bullion coins.
Oh,
they looked legit. And I was like, man, that's like a lot of silver. Because I've seen a lot of silver bullion before, and they looked exactly like they were good, right? And then I noticed that like the box one came in that was like there was a spelling error or something on it. I'm like,
oh.
Canada Mint is not going to put a spelling error on their box. You would hope. And so as it turned out, they were all fake. Like he was just trying to sell me a bunch of like actual fake things, but they looked so good.
Did he know they were fake?
He seemed like the type of guy that would have known they were fake.
Okay.
It was like it seemed too good to be true kind of deal. There was guys coming around and they were going to antique stores and they were saying they had like trying to sell bars of gold and silver. And what they did is they had like a big chunk of lead and then they would actually put real gold on the top of it.
Oh, like gold plating.
Yeah. And
so you could test it. Like
you would test it with the thing. It'd be like, yeah, that's real gold. And then they'd weigh it. And they'd give them like, $5,000 or whatever for the bar. And then it was only like, $100 of gold plating on it.
Dang.
Yeah. So I know people are sneaky out there. That's why I never really did get into buying and selling gold and stuff like that. Plus it puts a target on your shop if you have a bunch of people know that you have safes full of gold around. But
yeah. Flies. Donald asks, several years ago, speaking of trailers, you started redoing an Airstream. What happened to it?
I did the final video of that and I said, winter's coming and I can't finish it up this year, but I'll see if I can get to it. I basically got it done. And then I had the opportunity to buy the Potter's House, but I didn't have the money to buy the Potter's House unless I sold the trailer. So I sold the trailer, used that money to buy the Potter's House. That's what happened to the Airstream trailer turned into the Potter's House.
Okay, so Melissa is asking, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years and what do you want to achieve within that time? Speaking of having your dreams evolve and change, can you even guess where 10 years?
10 years is pretty far out at this point. I would say that was easier before. When I was working a normal job and you could look at your mortgage and say you've got 20 years left on your mortgage, you knew that you'd have to be at whatever job you're at for 20 years, right? But then when you get yourself a little bit more freedom, I think it's more about how I want to experience life and how I want my kids and family to experience life. I mean, it's up to them how they experience it, but I want to provide experiences for them. So it's less in what I want to accomplish and more what I want to experience.
Zip lining.
Maybe. I don't know.
Zip lines are cool. I want to put a zip line from my coop all the way across the pond that's down there.
You should put a zip line in just for the chickens to use. Just from the top to the bottom. No, I mean, like, the priority for me right now is I want to get my store completely leased out. So I'm not worried about that. I'd like to help the ice cream shop be as successful as possible. But my goal in the short term is that I want to take my kids to the mountains. It's only a few hours from here. We haven't been in years. We were supposed to be there today, actually.
Oh, yeah?
But the weather's been so bad that we didn't want to go and be right out.
The chance of it raining, because it even looks like it's going to rain.
It's supposed to rain today, yeah. So we put our vacation or our trip on hold. But I want to try and provide my family and my children with the most amazing experiences possible. I also have a brother I haven't met yet, which I'd like to go meet.
But you can now.
I can. I will be in August. So
Sweet.
there's other things. Like I'm focused more on my health. Like I'm trying to get healthier. Just there's other things that are priority right now that weren't a priority my whole life.
And maybe in 10 years you won't care about your health. So
I'll be smoking cigars.
Renee says, you are so knowledgeable about the antiques you come across. You seem to know at least a little something about everything. Do you find yourself doing a lot of research on different items, or is it just more so information you picked up along the way?
A lot of it is, I luck into some good deals because I have good instincts, but the good instincts I have are because I know what to look for. And that can be like if you see an old box in the corner, to see the type of grain that was used on it, the type of brass hinges that tells you that it's antique and not replica, right? So you get a sense of what things are based on the way they're built or the quality. And I might not know everything there is about that particular type of wooden box, let's say, but I know enough that it has early hinges, that it has an early style wood or veneer, that it's going to be something more special. And so I'll go, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on that because this has the feeling of an 1800s portable writing desk, let's say. And then I'll to go home and research and go, yeah, that's what it is. So it's not that I know a lot, it's that I kind of have instincts of what to look for based on my experience working with this stuff. I don't know if that answers your question. Plus, I used to read a lot of price guides and books and watch Antiques Roadshow and stuff. And I think the more you experience something, the more that you are around something, the more you know about it. Like Josh can pick out exactly what type of wood it is based on its smell or its grain or its color, for the most part, right?
Mostly domestic woods, but yeah.
Yeah, but sure. I look at it and I have like a guess. Like I'm like, I think this is teak, or I think this is maple, but I'm not 100% sure. So I might ask Josh, where he just knows. So everybody has their areas that they kind of focus on. I don't know. It helps when I'm in a garage sale situation. I am like king of garage sales. I did well with the storage unit I did last time too. I don't know. It's just by doing it for years, I guess.
Bootjack Clay Shack says...
great name.
Yeah. She's a potter?
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. If you could come across and rescue any iconic car from media history, what would it be? And she lists the Oscar Mayer Wiener Mobile, Partridge Family Bus, Honeysuckle Rose, Batmobile. Oh, any Batmobile would be sick. Back to the DeLorean. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got a super chat.
Thank you, Tipping Bong. I love that name. It's
Tipping Bong.
It's good to say. DeLorean, Ghostbusters, the Mystery Machine. Oh, Mystery Machine would be awesome.
That's easy, though. All you need is a Ford Econoline van, and you're pretty well set.
Yeah, but they're awesome.
No, it'd have to be something pretty special, like a Batmobile kind of thing. I think if I could save or keep probably a car that was just like something I'd keep in the garage and be like, hey, look what I found. Maybe it would be the Ford GT that Steve McQueen drove in the Le Mans movie, because that's a pretty hot car with the Golf racing colors on it.
Yeah, that would be...
I think it was a Porsche 917. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, the Batmobile would be pretty awesome too. I would have no problems driving around in the Batmobile. Like, and I'm talking the Adam West Batmobile.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the 1980s,
I think they're all cool, but that one is the coolest because
it's a Lincoln Futura. It was a concept car that they debubbled and turned into the Batmobile.
Mm-hmm.
But even the Futura would have been cool. They actually replicated one not that long ago on one of these TV shows. Like,
yeah, on
it wasn't like Count's Customs. It was one of those kind of shows.
Yeah,
though.
It's the one where they flip cars, right?
Yeah.
To try to get to the...
And the one guy's from Vancouver that is like, I got a deal on a 72 Charger. I'm going to take that Charger and I'm going to sell it and buy the 65 Willys. When I'm done with that, we're going to bundle it up and we're going to make big cash on this 32 Ford. But everything's got to go right for us to make the big cash.
Yeah. See, that's why I don't want to do
reality TV.
Any TV shows.
Because you'd start talking like that?
No, I wouldn't do that. I would just be like, this is dumb. And then I would get fired. I can't do that. Like, I don't know if you mind people knowing, but people always ask you to do TV shows. And then you always call me and ask if I want to do it. And I'm like, not if it's trash.
Yeah.
Because
I feel a little bit bad. I was supposed to have a conference call with the TV production company yesterday, and I totally forgot about it. And I just wrote back. I'm like, guys, I'm probably not the right person for this. It was like a show about military antiques. It'll probably get greenlit. Like they'll probably end up being on History or whatever. But the truth is, it's not worth my time to lose time with my family at this stage when I'm not desperate to go out there and do some show. I don't care about being famous. I don't care about having a show for the sake of doing a show. And there are a lot of people who do.
Right.
Where they just like, I'm going to be on TV. Being on TV doesn't have the same brand cachet it used to.
No.
And all that means for me is that I'm going to be told what to do for as long as they keep renewing that show and then not be able to see my wife and kids. So no, I don't want to do that. The only way I'd do it would be if somebody's like, we'll work around your schedule. We'll come to Edmonton and you can just do whatever you're doing. And even then, I would still be hesitant because I enjoy my freedom more than I would enjoy doing that.
Yeah. Would you do because there's reality TV that is centered around like a subject matter, or there's I've never watched the Kardashian show, but I'm pretty sure it's just about them doing whatever they happen to be doing.
Yeah, it's reality TV or whatever.
Right. So you can have reality based off of an aspect of your life, or it can be like your whole life. Like when I vlog, it's everything, just whatever I'm doing, as long as I can pull a story out of it to make the video
it's
work.
Just not worth putting my kids and my wife on camera to ruin their childhood over something like that.
Right.
I'd rather they grew up just being normal kids. I've been retreating more than anything lately. Like I closed my store. Like I am more just wanting to, I don't know, breathe the fresh mountain air or visit, Switzerland and see Lake Lucerne again. Or I don't know. There's just things that I want to do in life that don't involve me being like, constantly trying to sell stuff to people. And I do these auctions, or I've been doing auctions to clear out inventory that I've had. And by default, because I've bought some things for content and for the business, but I just want to experience life. And I don't know. I see those things as being a trap. It's a trap. Admiral Akbar quote.
Yeah. Speaking of Star Wars.
Yeah.
He might be my favorite side character because of that meme.
Because of that meme?
Yeah.
I think he should be your favorite character because of his white onesie.
She also asked a question for her husband. Will the garage get a lift?
That would be very expensive, even if I just raised it up by 4 or 5 inches. Lifting the whole garage at this point of the build. Yes, the garage will get a lift probably at some point. But honestly, I'm leaning towards thinning out the cars that I have to try and get just a few special cars. I don't know why I bought that limousine. I got to get it running. I got to get it sold.
I think it's cool. I sat in it.
Yeah,
it's not
sure.
very comfortable though.
It's cool, but it doesn't do anything for me. I'd rather have, you can only drive one car at a time, right? So I'd rather have maybe 3 old cars that are super, super cool where I'm like, man, I can't believe I ended up with this thing, than have 6 or 7 cars where I'm not even crazy about half of them. So
Right.
yeah, the lift originally was going to be something I put in so that we could store more things, but I don't know. I think I'm going to thin out the herd and just get a few things that I really like.
Okay, I'll take the Mustang.
Sure.
She also asked the question, what is your most personally sought after guitar? And then she says, you can't say Trigger. She's a treasure. Oh, maybe a famous guitar then?
Well, I mean, like, what was Lucille? B.B. King's guitar was like a Gibson ES 335 or something like that. I don't have a sought after guitar. This is going to sound really sentimental maybe and a little bit hokey, but the guitar that I play on most of those videos where I'm doing like an Alex Sings video, the one that I play all the time, it's not the best playing guitar. In fact, I need to get it set up. It's a 1969 Washburn Classical. But it's special to me because it's the first gift that my mom ever bought my dad. And it was my dad's guitar. And there was a period of my life where my dad, we needed money and my dad was going to pawn that guitar. And I don't know how I figured it out, but I came up with the money to buy it off of him instead. And it's been in our family since before my mom and dad were married, since 1969. And I don't know, that would have been a really big thing for my mom to buy my dad. My parents did not have a lot of money. And so for my mom to have saved up all of her hard-earned money working retail or as a waitress, at that time and buy him a brand new guitar, that was pretty special. And he toured with it, and he traveled with it, and he played gigs with it. So it doesn't matter to me that it's not the most expensive guitar or the world's best guitar. It matters to me that it was my dad's guitar. And so that's the only thing that that's the only guitar I really care about having and playing.
That's cool. Does a guitar really have to be the best guitar, though, to make good music? Because, like, Jack White, if you're a fan of
he picks bad instruments on purpose.
Yeah, and then I can't remember what's that show. It was him, The Edge, and who else? I forget who the other guy was. But he was, like, showing... playing a guitar, and then he puts it on the ground. He's like stepping on it, and he's like, "Yeah, this is great music."
I know that he got his first wife, what was Meg White, or what was her name?
Yeah,
to play drums because she wasn't the best drum player, but it gave it kind of that rough kind of like garage band kind of sound that he wanted. So no, you don't have to be the world's best player, the world's best musician, or have the best tools. To play the music you want to play. But there are things that can be annoying, like if you're trying to play and you get fret buzz, or the instrument isn't performing the way it should, because like that guitar, which they can't see, is bowed really bad. He has one on the wall. It's got a massive warp. I would not want to play that guitar because trying to play up and down that neck, your fingers would be worn out. You got to turn it sideways. See, look at how high the action is there.
And it's also...
There's like 4 inches of gap on that action. I wouldn't want to play that thing.
Yeah, this is I got this from Valley Village or something like that. I used to want to play guitar. I wanted to learn how to play, and I never learned. So whatever.
Well, you're surrounded by instruments. You could always learn.
Yeah, most of these are made by Clint.
Except that one.
Yeah, no.
You should really get a guitar made by him. Look at the.
We were going to make a guitar together for a video. Because I wanted to, but I was also going to film it. But we just haven't gotten around to it. If I could pick a guitar for myself, I would definitely want to have one of the ones smashed by Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I could smash a guitar and tell you it was.
I would believe you too, because
it might have just been some guy with really long surfer hair, an angry guy wearing a sweater and Doc Martens. Yeah. Would it matter if it was Kurt Cobain or just like a grunge guy that smashed a guitar?
It'd have to be Kurt Cobain, because like Nirvana's my favorite band.
Well, this is why I wanted to show the video of Jason. My son, Jason for his grade 9 grad did 2 Nirvana songs, and they killed it.
That's awesome.
Like they killed it. People were like out of their seats. Like people were like minds were blown. My son Jason had his grade 9 grad the other day, and they did a couple Nirvana songs, and Jason was playing drums, and his friend was singing and playing guitars, and said they had bass, but they did like a killer set. I was like, what?
That's cool.
And they're not even in music class. They taught themselves on their lunch breaks. They asked the band teacher if they could borrow the instruments and learn, and they looked up the songs, how to play them on YouTube and stuff. And they killed it as good as Nirvana. Well, okay, not as good as Nirvana, but really, I don't know. It's my kid. If Nirvana was in grade 9, like these guys were in grade 9, they would have killed it as good as Nirvana in grade 9 could have ever done. So no, I was very, very proud.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'll show you that video sometime. Melissa tried to send it to me, but it wouldn't.
Wouldn't send. Okay.
It wouldn't send because the file is too big.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see that. Miss B says, congratulations to Alex and his family on their new home and acreage, and thanks for sharing it with us. What can Alex tell us about the history of the acreage with a pool and no house?
Huh.
How long has the pool been there? Was the house there when the pool was installed?
That's an interesting story, and I don't think I've really shared that, is that we were looking for acreages, and we had a budget in mind, and we were looking, and we'd go and look, and there'd be a nice house, but it'd have a really weird yard. We looked at one, and it literally had like a ski hill for the backyard. You couldn't use the yard. The house was already, like you could see it was about a 10-year-old house, and the pad was starting to get cracks in it, and it was built right on the edge of a really steep hill.
Oh.
Like it backed onto the North Saskatchewan. And it looked like it was sliding almost.
Do you remember that house that did slide into the river?
Yeah, they've had some that slid. This one wasn't that close, but still I was like, eh. Every house we looked at had something wrong with it, to the point where we're like, it'd be easier if we just built the house that we wanted in the colors we wanted. And none of them had a garage or a shop big enough, because I wanted a very specific type of garage. Like there's not another house around that has an attached garage that probably is as big as the one I ended up getting on our house.
No, probably not.
They might have them like in a row, but not many people do like a big box like I did.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
so we figured that we'd start looking for land, and we made an offer on a couple other places.
Some of them were cool houses.
Some of them were cool, yeah. But we made we looked at the place that we ended up buying, and it had a pool on it. We're like, that's really weird. Why would somebody have a pool on land like that? And it was a little bit higher than most of the other places because it had the pool. And we're like, the land is nice and everything, but the pool is actually kind of a detriment because it wasn't fenced at the time. And, there's liability issues and stuff if you own the property, and what happens if like somebody falls in or whatever. So we looked around, and we came back to that one a couple times, and we had decided to make an offer, and we made an offer on it. And then my realtor calls, and he says, you realize that place has a lien on it from the bank, like it's involved in some kind of lawsuit. I'm like, what? So I guess what happened was the guy that owned the property before us was going to put like a big giant, you think our house is big. He had an 8,000 square foot house plan. Ours is 3,000 above grade. That's a normal size kind of house. He had an 8,000 square foot house plan, and he started with the pool.
That's a huge house.
It is a massive house. Yeah, I think they were gonna have multiple families living in it or something. Like they were gonna, him and his brother's family, or I don't know, one of those kind of deals. It was gonna be a big house, either way. So they built the pool and the hot tub first and the pad for this really swinging, crazy kind of pool house they were going to put in with like a fire pit and a flat screen TV and all this stuff is what's meant to go on the pad that I have back there. And they put that in because if they hadn't put it in first, they wouldn't have been able to get all the work trucks around to the back to do it once the house was in place. So they did that first, and then it turned out that he got in trouble with work or something and ended up going out of business and getting sued by a bunch of people. There's a super chat there.
Yeah, from Linda. Thanks, Linda. You guys know Ian Runkle from Edmonton?
No, I don't know what he does.
YouTubing depth trial and surprised myself making the Edmonton Connect. I have no idea who that is. Lots of people jumped onto that bandwagon.
Anyway, so the pool was there because the guy was planning a big house. We ended up having to go through the bank and the lawyers, and we wouldn't have got the property through normal road. We had to kind of like, we'll give you our check for the property if you guys take the lien off, and they kind of traded papers at the same time to make it happen. So we ended up getting it for quite a bit less than what they were originally asking for because it was just a big hassle. But it worked out well.
That's lucky.
Essentially, the pool and the hot tub that are there ended up being free because we got the land for what the land was worth, but we got all the upgrades for no extra cost. So people are like, well, when did Alex put the pool in? It's like, Alex figured out to find a place that got me a pool for free, other than the upkeep we have to do on it.
But, yeah, I would like to have a pool because why not?
Yeah, it's fun.
Right? Especially when it's hot out. And a hot tub. Man,
after a long day and you're sore?
Yeah, I used to always take baths. Some people think that's weird, but
no, I'm a bath guy.
I love baths. I mean, I understand that you don't want to sit in your filth, so take a shower first, then take a bath. Super easy. You're already in the tub. Anyway, that's what I used to do. But then I demoed, if you guys remember 138, I freaking demoed my whole basement, including the bathroom, which had a tub in it, which we didn't really use that bathroom anymore, but it had a tub in it, so I'd use the bathtub. And now I demoed it all, and now I don't have a bathtub because I don't have a bathtub upstairs because I don't want to make it out of wood.
Why don't you make your whole basement into a giant bathtub? Like a room. Just close off a room and pour some concrete and make a giant. It's a lot of upkeep having a pool. It is.
I imagine it is.
But it's good exercise for the kids. It's fun. It's right there. It's cheaper than having a lakefront property or something. Sometimes people have like a cabin out at the lake or whatever. You don't have like, a lot of the issues you get when you go to the beach or whatever. So no, it's pretty good.
Okay, last question here from Helene. Where would you most like to travel in Europe? Come to Oslo on the way to the Vasa in Stockholm.
Oh yeah.
And I will make you brilliant Norwegian waffles.
That would be an amazing trip, actually. I'd love to see Sweden would be great. Norway would be great. Like there's parts of Melissa's side of her family is from sort of the Baltic, like Melissa has Swedish.
That's the
genes.
blonde.
That's the blonde. Yeah, she's part Swedish, and part what is it?
Not Swedish.
No, now it's like there's 3 in a row there in the ball. Anyway, it would be very nice to go to that part of the world. I always feel I feel very at home in Europe. Like it feels.
Because of the snow.
No, not because of the snow. It's a similar sensibility. Like when I went through Switzerland, it was so clean. Like they were like mopping the sidewalks. I don't know if that's a normal thing, but I was in Lucerne and they're like washing the sidewalks in the morning. It was the cleanest little town I'd ever been in. And I'm like, this is just nice. There's swans and a covered bridge, and people are like really respecting and caring for these properties that were hundreds and hundreds of years old. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, well, because they have massive taxes over there, so I guess that's where part of it would go to.
No, like I think the people just maintain it on their own because they just want to.
Oh, really?
Place. Yeah.
Oh, so it's not even city people doing it; it's people doing it.
We went to Italy and we're in Venice, and I was a little bit disappointed with Venice. I mean, it was pretty. It was one of the nicest places I went to take pictures, but it's essentially just a shopping mall.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. If there's Venetians watching right now, I know there's a lot of history there, and it's a beautiful city, but people don't really live there. Not too many people anyway. No, like if you get there too early, it's like, sorry folks, Venice isn't open for another hour. It's like all the people that work in the shops come in on these boats, and then they go and they open the stores and pull the carts out and stuff. So it felt like when you get to West Edmonton Mall before it's open, that's what it felt like.
Yeah. And then you can hear all the gates opening and stuff.
Yeah, and then it's pretty much it just felt like a really beautiful shopping mall. And luckily it wasn't flooded at the time. I don't even know how long it's going to be there for.
Do you know where Hamilton the prize pig came from? Oh, that's the pig that it's not in here, it's inside. The orange pig. Do you know where it came from?
That's the one that somebody bought back for you?
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, Martha.
Yes, hang on. I think it was just one of those situations where I was somebody's house. I believe it came from the same place that I bought that 1800s jewelry box from. And I was just wandering around the house as I often do, and I'm like, well, that's cool. How about we throw the pig in the mix too, and let's make a deal. And I just thought it had a lot of character.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, hand painted, handmade.
Now I call it the prize pig. I named it Hamilton.
That's
so when I need to draw names or whatever,
you do it out of the pig.
Yeah. Prize pig, yeah.
That's funny.
Okay, her last little bit here, she says, if you could invite 6 people for dinner, living or dead, who would it be? 6 people, that's a lot. Living or dead? Or fictional, maybe. She didn't say that, but I said that.
Truth be told, it'd all be relatives. It'd be Dave, it'd be my dad, it'd be my grandparents, Melissa's grandparents. I mean, at the end of the day, sure, I could have Abe Lincoln over, and then he'd be like, well, I don't really know you, but I sure enjoy this Doritos you are serving. Like, what would I do? I would rather have an emotional experience with people who I love and give my kids a chance to reconnect with their family.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
I would have said none of my family.
Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain. Chester Bennington. Why is that? It doesn't have to be musicians. I think about like the music that I loved growing up, which I still love.
Yeah, but think about it like this way: if there's somebody really famous and they're alive right now, and they're suddenly in your house for dinner, it'd be super awkward.
Yeah, it would be.
I mean, it depends on what they'd be like, right? But it could be like, I'm doing this obligatory dinner with Josh, I guess. So what are we eating tonight?
Yeah. Well, then maybe based off of their personas that they, show off, maybe I wouldn't pick music. Adam Savage, probably. Jimmy DiResta, he's another maker. 6 people. I can't even think of 6 people. I don't know. Damien Hirst, the artist. Maybe Andy Warhol.
You'd have a pretty eclectic bunch there.
Yeah. What's another artist I really like?
You know, you might be disappointed though. You might meet some of these people and go like, man, they were messed up. They were not good people at all.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I can't imagine Andy Warhol and Kurt Cobain being the same. They'd be flopping their hair all around. He'd be like shooting a picture of a skyscraper, and Kurt Cobain would be like, "Oh, that's so deep," or I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
It would be weird. I'm telling you, like that sounds like one of those questions. You're like, "Oh, I'd love to have Marilyn Monroe," or like, no, you probably wouldn't. Like, I don't.
Steve Carell. That's my 6.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah,
I'm like trying to think of names. Yeah. No, I mean it would be because you don't know them, so why would you have them over?
true.
But maybe if you wait, what was the question though? Did she say just have dinner?
6
or have
people
over?
alive or dead that you want to have over for dinner.
It would be easier if you happened upon them and they, for whatever reason, were like, "Hey, Alex or Josh, or you're together. Come here. We have 2 seats, and these weird people keep asking to sit down." That would be a little different because then you're invited.
Yeah, I think it's different if you're invited and they want you there than if it's like, like have a celebrity visit you for dinner. And then they're just like, how much we get paid to do this thing for? Like it would just be, maybe I'm thinking too practically. Like maybe that question is meant to be for people who you assume that you want them to be there and they want to be there too. But I just assume that Abe Lincoln or whatever shows up, he'd be like,
"What happened?"
He'd be more like, how is this light appearing from nowhere? And he'd probably have a heart attack based on all the new technology and be done. So I guess you have to be pretty careful who you picked.
You'd have to like slowly introduce them to what real life is now.
And then your dinner's done and you spent the whole time explaining how an Apple iPhone works when you should have been asking him his insight.
Apples look a lot different these days.
And he's chewing on it. No, Abe.
Okay, so that's all the questions.
That's our next Bill and Ted's sequel. It'll be you and me bringing historic people back and then actually showing the reality of it. Yeah.
Oh, Blue Daisy says Andy Warhol, Kurt Cobain, Leonardo da Vinci, Jimi Hendrix, Tesla, and Jesus. That's a good mix.
I can't see them getting along though.
But Kurt Cobain and Jesus, they'd be like, "Hey!"
What?
Yeah.
Nice hair. Nice beard, dude. All right. Then they do like the hang 10. Whoa.
Did Leonardo da Vinci have a beard?
I don't know.
Maybe even he kind of looked the same.
Apparently he looked a lot like what he did the Mona Lisa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was him, I think. Wasn't it a self-portrait? I'm serious. The Mona Lisa, I believe,
I've never heard that.
I believe no. He just used his face as he was like, well, I'm gonna figure out some face, and I think he painted his own face on the Mona Lisa.
What?
So imagine the Mona Lisa with the beard, I guess.
Okay, dude, I had no idea.
Yeah, Da Vinci had a beard.
I don't think it's a great painting.
And you know what's funny? We talked about this earlier. We went to IKEA and they've got prints of the Mona Lisa. It's no different than any other kind of portrait of that era. They're like, oh, but her smile. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
People smile.
But,
people
think it's amazing because other people think it's amazing.
But what if no one thinks it's amazing? It's just become one of those things. I would love it if, like, my Abraham Lincoln, speaking of Lincoln, I would love it if someone was just like, "Dude, can you believe it?" Because he used, I don't know.
His finger. But that's how art is. Your picture is as good as anything else. It's just not in people's minds. Like the people who just paint like 2 colors on a canvas or whatever, and they're like, $1 million, please. It's not like, oh, the juxtaposition of red and blue reminds me of the toil of democracy versus the Soviet structure or whatever. It's like, no, he had red and blue paint and put it on canvas, but people read into it whatever they want.
Right.
It's just like my camper thing. People are going to like it gray. People are going to like it blue. It's all about marketing.
That's true. Helene says her face moves when you see it live and her eyes follow you around the room. That is, you can do that with almost every painting when the subject is slightly not looking straight. I
wonder how many tries it took Da Vinci to get the eyes right. He had them cross-eyed for a while.
The accident. What? Oh, Melissa's saying. Oh, she's talking to people. I see.
That's what she does.
Okay. So Sherry Ann says, please don't forget the story of how you two met. Right. That was the person who sent the 100 sex.
Was it?
How did we meet? You know Mount St. Helen?
Oh, is this when I pulled you out of the ashes that one day?
Yeah, you can't just skip the whole story, though.
Well, that's, yeah.
Okay, so you guys know Mount St. Helen, right? Mount St. Helen is a tornado. Jeez. Imagine. It's a volcano. Then...
It's in your story is lacking. It's in Washington.
Washington, okay. Mount St. Helen. No, not Mount St. Helen.
What do you think of?
Okay, it was not in Washington. Is Yellowstone in Washington?
No, I don't think Yellowstone's in
Hold
Washington.
on.
Yellowstone National Park. I can't remember. It's up there.
There's a volcano in Yellowstone. I thought it was Mount St. Helen.
No, Mount St. Helens and
Okay.
it blew its top.
But you remember this. Yeah. What's the volcano in Yellowstone? I thought it was...
That's the big one.
No, not the one super volcano. No.
The one that if it goes off,
one
that
by
we all die.
Okay, where's Old Faithful? That's in
That's
Yellowstone.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay, what's the volcano that's there?
The volcano in Yellowstone is called the Yellowstone Caldera.
No. What's the active volcano there?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, that's the super volcano.
No.
Caldera, most of the park are located in the northwest corner of Wyoming.
That's not even close to Washington, is it?
Yeah, it's fairly close.
I don't even know where Wyoming is.
It's not that
Show
far.
me a map.
Okay, I'm going to zoom out from where we are. There's Edmonton. And there's... it's not... Okay, Washington's there, and then Idaho, Montana, and then Wyoming.
Okay.
See, there's Cheyenne. There's Billings, Montana. It's a couple states over from Washington.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let me.
But not that far from us, though, really. Wyoming isn't as far as it always seems like it's farther than Colorado, where my sister is.
Okay. Well, anyway, there's a volcano somewhere. It's not. Pull me out of the ashes.
Well, your memory, how good of memory could you have because you were just an infant when it happened?
Okay. So, anyways, there is a volcano somewhere. I'm looking this up here. There's a geyser called Old Faithful. Yep. Okay? That's what I know. Okay? I'm looking at images, no wonder. Anyways, Old Faithful, you can go there. Apparently they call it Old Faithful because it always right? So people go there, obviously. This is gonna bug the crap out of me. The caldera, the Yellowstone supervolcano, is a volcano. Maybe it isn't a volcano. Okay, you'll remember better. Okay, anyways, there's a geyser. I'm pretty sure it comes from. Isn't it heated from lava or something underground?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're not supposed to go near it or whatever when it's because it's boiling hot water. Anyways, but you can go to it. And at the time, there was, I don't know if there's guard rails around it now or whatever, but at the time, you could go with a guide or you could go without a guide. And I have older brothers, and so I went with them when we were going to meet my sister in Arizona because she lives in Arizona. Anyway, so my side of the story is I'm going because I have no choice but to go. And as I go there, or as we go there, we kind of just are messing around and taking pictures and having whatever, family time or whatever. Yeah, I don't really remember exactly because obviously I was way too young, but...
How old were you?
I don't know. I wasn't an infant. I was definitely...
Like 9 or 10?
No, I was probably like... I think I was in grade 2 because this is the first time I would have went to my sister's house. I think I was in grade 2 or maybe grade 3. So what is that? Kindergarten, you're 5, 6, 7, 8. I was 8. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so I was about 8. Anyway, we drove and we go through Yellowstone or whatever. And I think at the time they were thinking that they didn't want a lot of traffic to go there. So it was weird because we had a yeah. Anyways, doesn't matter. We're going to Yellowstone. We're going to the Old Faithful. And we're messing around, going around all these, like, not rocks, but, like, plateau rocks, whatever. Oh, no, I'm buffering. Oh, there we go.
Back.
You could feel the heat and stuff. And it was just a lot of, I don't know, it was fun. And you could see the geyser every so often, just whatever. And we were trying to take a picture, so the geyser's behind us at the same time as clicking. But at the time, you don't have like a cell phone. You have a, and then you're waiting, and then you click, and it's not like on a cell phone. You can just hold it down. It's like, it takes a whole bunch of pictures. Anyway, I'm there with my family, and there's other people. This guy was there, luckily.
Remember, like it was just happened now.
Yeah, so the water is obviously really hot, and you got the big geysers or whatever, but then you also have like all these little ones. And
What are their names?
I don't know.
Little geyser?
Little geyser, not as faithful, spontaneous.
Not as faithful.
And anyway, as we were taking pictures and stuff, there were moments where some of these other like little geysers, which were more like, you know, when you step on a water balloon and it just goes, it was kind of like that, but it's hot water. Anyway, those were going off, and my brother Dave was like, okay, maybe we should like go over there where these other people are, because maybe it'll be safer or whatever. And so we decided to go around, and there was like hot springs or whatever. Was there hot springs? I think we went to some hot springs. But anyways, when we stopped, we went down to go to some hot springs, and there is some traditional, if you want to call it traditional, ceremonies going on. And so there's this huge bonfire. And so earlier I had gotten burnt by the water, so I didn't want to go in the hot springs, because I
would have made it worse.
Right, yeah, because when you get like a sunburn or whatever. Yeah, so anyways, the less faithful thing burnt my my legs a little bit from...
Never know when less faithful is going to go off.
Exactly, it's not faithful.
Yeah.
It's spontaneous. Anyways, we go to the hot springs, though, and there's... whatever, I don't know, what would you call that? Dancing and stuff. It was really... whatever, it was like a cultural thing. And there was a big-ass bonfire, and... yeah, it was just like, I don't know, it was a thing. Anyway, since I wasn't in the hot springs, I was just kind of wandering around, and kind of closer to the end of the deal, I'm just messing around, and I decide to like go exploring. And I remember when I was a lot younger, I was trying to find this knife, which I picked up the other day, by the way, from my mom's, in this brush pile. And I thought I could find other cool stuff in these little brambly piles and stuff. And I got stuck. And as I got stuck, I'm just like a little kid, right? I'm like this tall, probably. As I get stuck, I feel embarrassed, and I'm not asking for help or anything. And not asking for help, I just happen to be, well, kind of an idiot. And they take these these other piles, and they scoop them up with this whatever jaw thing, and then they put it over into the pile of old bonfire. And I'm in this pile, all like super embarrassed, and also scared out of my mind, because I don't know what's going to happen. Plus all these like scratchiness and stuff, and I just feel like an idiot. And I'm just like get dropped into this pile of ashiness, and that's where this guy came. I out of nowhere, and he was like, "Hey, there's a kid over there," or something like that, and he saved me from getting burned, I guess. Although they never burned it, so I wouldn't have been burned anyway. But
they would have.
They would have later,
given
probably.
the opportunity.
Yeah, if they knew I was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I met Alex.
Yep. Quite the day.
Quite the day.
Just another typical day.
Yeah, that was a hard story to tell.
It's emotional. I know that the stickiness and finding yourself stuck inside somebody else's ash hole could have been a major problem.
That was mine. Obviously, that one wasn't very good. Dude, you shouldn't have said. Was this when I pulled you out of some ashes? I really had to work my way into that one.
Yeah, but see, I remembered just like it was yesterday. I'm glad you tied it all together.
Well, did Alex have his family with him? They weren't born yet.
No, even Melissa wasn't born yet. I was 32 and Melissa was not. She was not even conceived.
Sex, my God, guys, not sex. Anyways, obviously that story's not true because they're never true. But that one was hard to. That one was hard, dude. Pulled you out of the ashes. Like, how the hell am I going to?
But I'm always a little bit honored that I somehow am saving you in your stories.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah,
I get to be your older mentor in some ways, subconsciously.
Yeah.
So now
I don't know how many times I've met you, but every time I'm like, because the stories are made up, right? But they're based off of things that have actually happened to me.
And that one was you visiting your sister?
Yeah, and we never went through Yellowstone. But when I said Mount St. Helens, I thought that was in Yellowstone. So
no, the whole time we were in Washington a few years ago, Melissa, we were like, "That's Mount St. Helens over there." She's like, "I don't trust it. People are living by it." And I'm like, when you know something is capable of blowing up like that, you're like, I want to get away from it. And then no matter how far we drove, it was always immediately out our window. That thing is huge.
It is.
Mount St. Helens is a big volcano.
Who was it? Someone said, where is it? That is absolutely the best one yet. I love the ending. So funny. That what? Really? I thought one was weak. Someone said I don't see their name here. Cat says I really like the Hungry Lions one. It was actually a tiger. that one I think was the best one because Clint was here when I was telling it and he believed me too.
Oh, he bought it?
Yeah. And it was a good one because what I used there, and some people didn't believe it because they thought they were like, oh yeah, sure. Alex without a history degree worked on movie sets and stuff. I don't believe that.
That was the unbelievable part?
Yeah. But you did work on movie sets and TV sets
for almost 10 years, yeah.
And so I used that. I said that I worked at the Edmonton Zoo and some company needed a tiger and an elephant. And I'm making it up as I go. So I'm like
I've worked on movies that have called for stuff like that. Weird things happen.
That's funny. Anyway, I said that the movie production company made a pen or whatever, but they needed someone to who worked at the zoo to help with the animals, which I said that I was 15 at the time. I've never worked at the zoo, but I've been to the zoo. So, and I don't know. Some people think that I add too many details to my stories for them to be true, but that's how I tell stories in real life, even if they are true. But someone said, so what is the real story? How did I actually meet you? So how I actually met him, people also don't believe for some reason, but I wanted to build a cannon, a fake cannon, not a real one, prop I can't remember exactly why I wanted to make it. I think I just wanted one. And so I went to West Edmonton Mall to look at the cannons that are on the Santa Maria replica ship. And I saw that they were made out of styrofoam because one of them was broken. Oh. And so I could see that it was made out of foam. I was like, oh, I could probably make one out of foam. Okay. But I didn't want to pay to get on the ship to take pictures. But I wanted to take reference photos the way that I could use them rather than look online and just have a picture, because they're not going to take pictures the way that I.
You get a different sense of scale in person too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking pictures of it, but then I was like, this sucks. So I Google, I'm like, Canons for sale, Edmonton, something like that. And then curiosityinc.com or whatever it was pops up, or maybe it was the Facebook page or something. And I'm like, okay. And there was a photo of a Canon. And so I'm
this story sounds just as unbelievable. Sure, the Santa Maria is in a shopping mall in Edmonton, and there's cannons made of styrofoam. Okay, Josh.
Yeah. So, anyways, I see it, and then it says Curiosity Inc. address or whatever, and it's like not that far away from Westham's Mall. So I'm like, okay, I'll go there. And then I'm like, okay, so I go into your store, and I was like, holy shit, this is a sick antique store. Antique stores are kind of cool anyway, but yours was way different. And so I was like, I, for whatever reason, want to get to know the guy here. And do you remember me asking you, do you own this, or do you
you were like on my stairs coming down from upstairs or something.
Yeah. And your one spindle is upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was weird. Why did they do that? But anyway, I'm looking for the Canon, which is not in there. And so I asked you, and you had a different Canon that was not as detailed. It was like more just cylindrical. It didn't have like the machining where it's like goes thin and then big again with like the little button.
I don't remember if on that visit you were like, that's expensive. Do you have anything here that's free?
No, it probably wasn't that time. No, well, this is my, I don't know if you'd call it philosophy, but like, Ashley is always embarrassed when I go into stores for not to buy stuff, just to talk. But I'm like, you don't know who you'll meet, right? And you could have just been nobody. I could have not liked you, or you could have not liked me, and it could have just been nothing, right? It could have just been like, oh, he has a cool store, but I don't really care.
I could have been like, we had like those glasses and pushed them down a little, like taking them with the string, put them down, and said, "You're gonna buy something, young man, or you're gonna leave that door." Like I could have done that.
You could have. This is when you had the cash register or whatever. Like when you walk in, it was to the right.
Oh, that was way back.
Yeah. And then you moved it to the other side, and then you moved it again. Anyway, from there, you then posted that Vice Anvil combination on Instagram, and I was like, I think, did I text you? Did you give me your number already, or did I?
You might have just messaged me or something.
Maybe, yeah. And I told you to hold it because I was going to come get it. And then, you sold it you wanted $80 for it, but you gave it to me for $50. And, maybe then is when I asked you, do you ever have anything that's just trash? Because I make stuff out of junk. And then I think that's when you followed me back on Instagram. And then you asked me to make a few things.
I would try and find stuff for you whenever I could.
Yeah. You gave me some...
Probably picture frames, maybe, or...
You gave me a few things. I can't remember everything. But you got me to make that one picture frame, or that with the
motorcycle stuff on it. That was really cool, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. I thought it was cool. I wanted to make something that was like, I wanted to be able to like say like, this is from this, this is from this, this is from this. Like, obviously, you gave me the frame, but that was it, and the photograph and the whatever that thing was, and then. But I wanted, like, because I had a leather, whatever, background or whatever, matting. 50 more secs. Thank you for the wild stories. I don't believe anything you say from here on. Love you guys. I will always say when I'm joking, by the way. I always say when I'm lying.
As long as they watch to the end.
Yeah, you have to watch the end.
Like, somebody, like, the doorbell rang halfway through, and like, bing bong, I gotta go. And they believe that whole...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway... I made that for you, and then but you have stuff for me all the time. Can't really use it no more because I can't do anything, unfortunately. But
for now,
it is what it is.
But it's nice to have materials around so you can be inspired for when you are feeling better.
Yeah, it's nice to have, like, a lot of people ask me, they're like, why do you have so much stuff, like, because they don't think they can find a use for it. But like when I don't take this stuff, I regret it all the time, where I'm like, oh, if I would have grabbed whatever, like that lathe and mill that was in Jones' place.
Yeah.
Eddie Jones' place. I wish I would have taken that now. But I didn't. But I've had times where I'm like, oh, I could have made my own knobs for something. I make knobs cool. Out of whatever. But like when I put in these doors, they have no knobs, so they're hard to open from the outside.
Can you make wooden knobs?
I can. I think what I'll do is make, I don't know exactly, but I was thinking of making like organic-y looking steel, like, but make them look like tree branches.
Yeah, you could weld something. Yeah. That'd be more interesting than
what I didn't. And another question that people keep asking me: have I made you your
the bonsai tree?
Bonsai, cherry tree, whatever yet? I have not, because I haven't done anything.
He needs to get his health back in check. We're not,
but I plan.
We're not worried about it as of right now.
It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be sick. I was just about to start on it. Like, not. Remember, I even called you because I was like, "When do you need it?"
Yeah.
And then you were like, "Oh, I move in around May or whatever it was," and then May 1st is when I...
Yeah, because I phoned to check in, and I'm like, hey, Josh, how's the tree come along? He's like, I'm actually not doing so hot right now. But there are... Do you think you could make like a butcher block out of that maple? Like if you laminated it, like some kind of crazy...
Oh, yeah. Do you need a butcher block?
No, I don't. I don't know. I'm too practical.
I have that one there.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, it's well, the thing underneath it.
Oh, yeah. No, you'll get back in the groove before long.
I will, I hope. But yeah, anyway, guys, 2 hours and 10 minutes later, I hope you guys enjoyed this shop talk. This is probably the most populated live I've had for a shop talk.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that it was, and I think we covered a lot of stuff, went over a lot of questions. You told the story about how things could have happened. Now I feel bad. Like the whole time I was listening to your story, I was thinking about young, scared infant Josh. I just, I would have been like, I would have tussled your hair and said, "It's gonna be okay, buddy."
Well, you should have jumped in next time. Well, maybe I should have. I didn't know someone was gonna ask that. But since they did it in a super chat, I felt obligated to answer it. Because usually when someone asks that, I'm like, oh shit, okay, scenario. Bam. It's like, when you have like, you play a game where you like pick a few cards and you're like, okay, it happened here with this person at this time, right? You have like those things and you make a story off of that or whatever. There's games that exist like that. That's what I kind of do. Like it happens a lot when I'm washing dishes and I do those lives. And then I'm like, okay, like one time it was a SWAT team, and I was like, okay, SWAT team. I'm like, shit, that's a tough one. Playing poker, SWAT team, when this used to be, okay, perfect. Make a story, and people are like, wow, that's insane that happened. But now it's a running joke, so people know who've heard them before know that I'm about to just spin a ball of yarn. But anyways, thanks, guys. I will see you in a vlog very soon. If you don't know who this guy is, you can see a lot of his vlogs right now at Curiosity Inc.
Yep, they're up there. Thanks for having me over today, Josh.
Thanks for coming over.
Yeah, I always like coming to visit.
Well,
now I get a chance to try and get home before the rain hits.
Yeah. I'm going to try to put the wheels on my lawnmower.
Oh, yeah.
So that I can finish my vlog.
But you don't have any Jell-O to grease up the axles with.
No. Oh, I kind of want to get Jell-O too.
Okay, now you have to go into town. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you later.